Should be live. So I'm gonna pick up where I left off a couple days ago, cleaning my vault. I read the twit out on Thursday. I guess I cleaned my vault on Wednesday. I didn't play Friday. Now it's Saturday. So yeah, I only did like 2 weapon categories on my vault because I started discussing god rolls. And I need to clean it out. And even though it's not efficient to do it on stream, I'm going to do it anyways because somehow that's my most popular stream, and there was quite a bit of engagement. So if anybody is tuning in yet, or watching this post live stream, feel free to leave comments. Let me know about your favorite god rolls. Or yeah, if you're live in chat, I mean, just feel free to give me your take on things. So I just got to set up the YouTube side real quick. It's going to take me like 2 minutes. Make sure my title and thumbnail and all that kind of stuff is set up. And also I need to test this mic because I'm on a different mic. And I tried to calibrate it before stream, so I'm going to check that right away. Okay, it seems to be alright. I don't know, it seems to be like picking up an echo. Maybe not. Okay, is that better? I think it's just picking up too much ambient noise. Okay, well, maybe, I think it's alright. Okay, save that. Okay. Go back. Edit. Upload thumbnail. I think, where did I leave off last time? I did auto rifles, pulses, hand cannons. I think that's it. Let me fly into the tower real quick while I set up the YouTube stuff. Nope. Bro, where's this freaking thumbnail at? How about I just do details by date? Sort. Well, it would have taken me 2 minutes if I was a little more organized. I don't understand. Did I save over it? There it is. Okay. Okay, save that. Okay, thumbnail should be up. Modify this title slightly. Or actually, no, it's probably fine. But I do need to add some other stuff. Nope, I'm not AI. Okay. Language is English, although if anybody speaks French, feel free to talk to me in French, but I'm probably gonna translate in English. Okay. So that should be good. Manage. Yep, that works. Okay. Pretty sure when I stream from OBS, I can set up everything before the broadcast even goes live. But on PlayStation, there's not really any way to do that unless I'm streaming through a capture card to the PC onto OBS. And that's too many things to do, and the 4K capture utility software crashes all the time. Okay. Exit that, exit that. Open it up so I can actually see. No, that's the old stream. I want the new stream. So I can see chat in case so I can read chat. If I need to moderate chat, I can see it there. And then I gotta switch back and forth to dim. And keep an eye on my son's stream. Okay. So I want to do this ideally in a faster way so that I can actually go solo Vesper's Host, because I just spent like 15 friggin' hours soloing that dungeon, mastering the puppet, the puppeteer. Well, by mastering, I just mean completing a solo puppeteer. 4 damage phases in a row on Curus, Anarchy, Consecration, Velocity, Baton, Tenacious. So I've soloed the entire dungeon. I just haven't soloed it in one sitting. That's the next step. That's going to allow me to maintain Paragon going into Heresy. That's basically all I want. But I'm still maxed out on vault space because I literally haven't played since Wednesday. I've just read a TWAB and managed my vault slightly. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go on to dim and then figure out where I was at, and hopefully people will start tuning in. Because I know people seem to enjoy talking about their god rolls. Okay, so so what I do is, because you can't see me doing this on dim because I'm in the game and we don't have any kind of filtering system to organize our loot in the game, I have to use a third party, well, software. It's a website, Dim, right? Everybody knows Dim, I'm sure. So I'm going to do my best to describe what I'm doing outside of the game with Dim, and then I'm going to try and transfer stuff over in the game, so at least there's some kind of visual to reference as I talk about what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm on Dim, I go to Organizer, I go to the search bar, I type in is legendary. Now, no exotics are showing. I have 366 weapons, so I think I deleted like 6 weapons last time, which is pathetic. But it was still fun because we were talking about weapons and stuff. So I know I got auto rifles done. I'm keeping 17. I got hand cannons done. I'm keeping 17. I got pulse rifles done. I'm keeping 17. I don't know why it just keeps working out this way that I have 17, 17, 17. I'm not that OCD. Like, I did not pre-plan that. But now that leaves me with, okay, did I actually finish going through pulse rifles? I know I talked about blast furnace and chattering bone. I think that's like one of the last things I talked about. I talked about grid skipper. That was my only dupe. I have a nullify. Well, that's an adept, so I don't really want to get rid of that. Actually, you can probably see my nullify in here. The adept one. I actually have 10 spaces in my vault, so since I do, I'm going to make a little bit of room so I could actually carry weapons over. Okay, I'm going to store that. Store that. I'll just keep 6 on each. How about? Store that. Store that piece of junk. Store that. I guess I'll store that. Yeah. Okay, so on my non-adept crafted nullify, I've got heal clip and incandescent, right? And then, well, I guess I'll bring that over. Move to Titan, right? That's what I'm telling Dim to do. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty much just about all the way through these pulse rifles. This is just really the last dupe to talk about, and it's not even really a dupe because one's adept and one is craftable. So Firefly, incandescent, very good. Chaos Reshaped is also really good. So this is kind of it's kind of tough to choose which way to go with this. I mean, I'd say if I'm doing like GMs, then I'd probably go Chaos Reshaped if I'm using this thing for range, because it is a heavy burst, it's good at range, and it's not necessarily something that should be used for ad clear in the same way that other primary weapons would be. Like, its strength is its range, its damage at range. So Chaos Reshaped, potentially being able to get that 35% damage buff. And it surprisingly does activate quite often as well. I know, like, from... When was I last using Chaos Reshaped? I think it might have been in a video that I did, but I have it on Imminence, and as long as you're doing ad clear and stuff and you're playing the game, you're going to have Chaos Reshape ×2 procced a lot. Oh, and the other thing is, I tested it on Galron, right? So when I did the solo Galron recently, a couple weeks ago, I used, actually, do I even have the sword on me? No, I got rid of it. But Summum Bonum with Chaos Reshaped, and it was at ×2 procced for the entire damage phase versus Galron, because you only have to be in combat for like 20 seconds or something. I can't remember. I should read it. 12 seconds, right? So for some reason I thought it was longer than that, But yeah, it takes a little bit longer to activate than Frenzy, right? But the damage is like twice Frenzy, and it heals you every now and then. So it's actually a pretty nutty, it's a pretty nutty perk. So, so yeah, I don't really want to delete this because I've got lots of options here. But like typically I'm still just going with heal clip and incandescent, right? It would have to be a very specific activity and even a specific build to pry this thing out of my hands if I'm going to be going with a solar pulse rifle. Yeah, so I guess I'm keeping 17 pulse rifles. Because the only other ones that I have that aren't masterworked are these two, right? Vantage Point, which I just got last time I played the game, which was on Wednesday. Jolting Feedback and Deconstruct, which is basically the only perk combination I was interested on this thing, because I'm not even interested in this weapon to begin with, because I don't really like adaptive frame pulse rifles. But Deconstruct is always unique and niche, and because of that I like it. But it also synergizes extremely well with Jolting Feedback, because it constantly refills the mag as you're doing damage. So therefore you're going to proc Jolting Feedback more consistently, more regularly. You have to reload less, because Deconstruct is essentially like Reconstruction, but Reconstruction got nerfed. So, I mean, yeah, Deconstruct is solid. On top of that, the 40% buff versus constructs and vehicles, right? That can be insanely good. Yeah, it's only held down by the fact that it's an adaptive. So, I mean, that is the role that I was going for, so I'm probably going to do the full masterwork on it. Right, and that's going to be part of this process too, because if I'm going to be effective at vault cleaning, then I shouldn't just let my Glimmer sit there at 500,000, because then I'm wasting Glimmer. Like, if you clean your vault properly, you're going to be getting a shit ton of Glimmer and enhancement cores, right? So if you're maxed out on Glimmer, then you're not effectively cleaning your vault, right? You should be looking at the stuff that you want to keep in your vault, like that roll I just talked about. And even though it's like on the bottom, it's low on the priority list for me to enhance. Like, I should be enhancing, because I know that's a keeper, so I should spend 200,000 Glimmer to enhance it right now, so that I can keep dismantling stuff and build my Glimmer back up so that I can enhance more stuff. Right, because if I just go ahead and clean my entire vault right now, maxed out at 500 Glimmer the whole time, then I'm only going to be able to enhance like 2 weapons after all that, and then I have to go farm 500,000 Glimmer again. So just so that I actually practice what I preach. I was hoping to go through more of the weapons before just doing this, so I can know what I want to prioritize, but I'll just do it. Make some room. I'm a little bit low on alloys. And I'm low on enhancement cores and prisms. I like to stay above 50 prisms and above 10 alloys. And the cores, ideally, I'd like at least 500 or so. If my resources are sitting roughly around there, I feel comfortable enough to go ahead and enhance like 2-3 weapons. Okay, so Vantage Point is done. Let's see how much Glimmer I have now. That'll tell you exactly how much it takes to fully masterwork a weapon. Okay, I don't ever need to get another one of those. Now, how much Glimmer do I have? 400,500. Okay, so it was a lot less expensive. I think it's more expensive on crafting weapons, if I'm not mistaken. And also, I didn't buy any prisms, right? Like, if I had to buy prisms and if I had to buy cores, then it would have cost me actually 200, 300,000 Glimmer. Okay, and then the only other pulse rifle that I have that is not masterworked yet is, other than this, is Sacred Provenance, apparently. And I don't know why it's not transferring over. But anyways, other than that, like, I don't... Okay, let me just get through these categories, because I know everything that's in there is masterworked. I got 17 pulse rifles, almost all of them masterworked. So I got rid of the obvious stuff. So I'm just going to go on to scout rifles now. Okay. I love how your character loading screen doesn't load ever when you're in the tower. Like if you want to just check your fashion. I shouldn't say ever. I think it does work sometimes, but it seems to be a frequent problem. Okay, 17 scout rifles. I got Briar's Love, 2 Doom of Chelchesses, an Adept Fang of Ear Ute, Hung Jury with Kinetic Tremors, and One for All from Into the Light. Okay, yeah, so because I recently went back into regular Onslaught to try and farm for a explosive payload, Kinetic Tremors, Hung Jury, because somehow I never got that roll in the hundreds of hours that I put into the original Onslaught. Maybe that was a weight-gated perk combo back then. Actually, I could probably check that and tell if it was or not. No, it wasn't. They're literally right beside each other. Kinetic Tremors and Explosive Payload in the API, in the columns. They're slapped right next to each other. So I guess I just had really bad RNG that I never got Kinetic Tremors and Explosive Payload. So I've got the next best thing until then, I guess, which is Kinetic Tremors One for All. But I'm not going to masterwork it because it's not ultimately what I want. I have another Hung Jury SR4 from Season of Defiance, Adept from GMs with Subsistence or Shoot to Loot and Kinetic Tremors, right? So that's the one difference between these two. I guess since this is a comparison, I'll carry them over. You can't roll Shoot to Loot and Kinetic Tremors on the Into the Light Hung Jury, right? So that's the only reason why I haven't deleted this, is because this is a unique perk combo. Unfortunate that you can't enhance it, though. I mean, that's definitely the downside there. But Kinetic Tremors is really nice with Shoot to Loot and GMs because it just reloads all your weapons. And it's gonna happen like automatically without you even realizing it. As you're shooting champs and beefy targets and proccing the Tremors, it just scoops up all the ammo and the armor charge too, like the orbs. So you're gonna be getting orbs of power and ammo and free reloads, right? And tapping into your build with your combat mods because of Shoot to Loot. That's why Shoot to Loot is so good in GMs. Well, and other things too, obviously, but yeah. So I can't get that combo onto the Into the Light one, but I do want Explosive Payload here because that's a double damage perk, and that's essentially way too good to pass up. So okay, then I've got a Masterworked Live Fire, Patron of Lost Causes. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring over this Patron of Lost Causes because I feel like this is the same issue and I'm going to leave the tower because it's not even showing my character. I can access my vault from orbit anyways. I at least gotta try and look a little bit cool. There. Okay, what was I gonna compare next? Oh yeah, this. Patron of Lost Causes. Okay, so this weapon should look like special because it is a double damage. It's a double perk roll, right? And so, well, it's not that it's rare to get. It's actually kind of free. You can get one every week, or you can cheese, like you could send. It's not even a cheese. It's intended to work like that. But if you do the Saint 14 activity from Echoes, which is, where is that? Nessus? Or no, probably just be in the last city, right? What's it called again? Enigma Protocol. You just do this activity over and over again without ever progressing past the first, like, checkpoint, first chest, right? Because technically the activity ends when you get to that first chest, right? And then there's an option where you can continue to progress and fight another boss but your fire team all needs to agree to do it, essentially, right? And likewise, I think that your fire team can all choose to just restart the mission at that checkpoint, so you can just refarm that chest over and over again. And that chest, for like the way the game has it coded, is the first time you open that chest every week, you get double damage perks, or double perks, right? So 4 perks total, and it could be any of these Saint 14 weapons. What's the origin trait called? Cast No Shadows, right? So that's how you farm double perks on Cast No Shadows weapons. And even though this is a kinetic scout rifle that doesn't have a double damage perk, this is still a pretty juicy roll, and it's a lightweight frame, so it's really nice with well, it has a super nice scope. It's actually just a really good scout rifle, even for being like a lightweight, I find. But there's that benefit on Hunter of having the extra mobility as well, of course, but kinetic tremors and triple tap and explosive payload. So I mean, yeah, I don't want to get rid of it, but my point is, why isn't it shiny? Right? Like, if I was just looking at this in my vault and I had 2 weapons that had rapid hit and kinetic tremors, like, I would, without investigating the weapon, I could just delete that. Like it should look cool. I think all double perk weapons should have some kind of unique appearance, like adept weapons and raids, GMs, and shinies in the original Onslaught. Still can't believe we got no shinies in Salvation. Anyways, so progressing through the scout rifles, I've got what's next? Pointed Inquiry. Pointed Inquiry is kind of unfortunate because I haven't used that thing in forever. But that was really good when it came out in Witch Queen, because it had, like, on mine I've got enhanced Genesis and adaptive munitions. It's just, adaptive munitions just got completely, well, it went obsolete, right? Because we lost match game shields. And I don't really know how obsolete it is, because there are, like, shields on orange bars and yellow bars are still tough to take out, and if you're going to use a primary weapon, you best be matching the shield or you're going to struggle. So, I mean, there is still a case to be made for adaptive munitions, but it's just such an outdated scout rifle. It's a high impact. I feel like there's just way better options. Okay, then I've got red tape that's not enhanced, and that's looking like, okay, well, I only have one of those. So what exactly am I farming for on red tape anyways? I'm getting really sick of seeing headstone. Yeah, so what rolls on red tape? Explosive payload. It's a lightweight. So again, so it's just like Patron of Lost Causes, but stasis. But kinetic tremors outperforms literally every perk that any elemental weapon can get, other than like jolting feedback. one for all is pretty decent. It does roll attrition orbs. And then like I've got the live fire too, right? What's the live fire anyways? I guess it's a different frame. Rhyme Stealer Headstone. That's a precision frame. So like Hung Jury. I really don't like this thing though. That's the only problem. I tried it in GMs, and this is the problem with elemental, like non-kinetic primary weapons. They don't have kinetic tremors, and it just makes it feel really bad in GMs. Unless you got explosive payload, but then again, it's a kinetic. It's not an elemental weapon. The only thing comparable is jolting feedback now. So like should I just be farming for another Rhyme Stealer Headstone? I don't even use this one. And like I already went over the Exuvier hand cannon with Rhyme Stealer Headstone, and like I'm not going to use that either. But for some reason I enhanced this, so I guess I'll hold on to that. But yeah, as far as red tape goes, like if I had to put it in my list to identify exactly what it is that I'm farming for on this thing, I think it's going to be attrition orbs. I mean, if I do get a Rhyme Stealer Headstone, I'll probably keep it because it's just kind of like an obvious it's an obvious weapon to use in a stasis build or a frost armor build or a shatter build, right? But yeah, it rolls attrition orbs, it rolls explosive payload. Like if I get an attrition orbs and explosive payload, I'm gonna keep that. I'll probably even keep one for all. But fourth times headstone, yeah, I'm not gonna keep that. Forget it. It is 2010 though, so I guess it's infusion fodder. So I can just upgrade my other useless stasis primary scout rifle with that one. Okay. So other than that, what do I have? I have a staccato, that's solar, explosive payload, shoot to loot, very utility friendly, don't want to delete that. I have 2 tarnished metals. Well, I mean, they're dupes, but I mean, I crafted them, so I invested like 35 cores just to craft it, and then probably another, whatever it is, 60 prisms or 300 cores or whatever the total actual value is of a fully masterworked crafted weapon. I did that to both of these, so it's not like I'm going to be deleting these without thinking about it. Demo Volt Shot, 16 kills, so I don't even use it. Shoot to loot explosive payload on this tarnished metal. This is probably my favorite scout rifle in the game that is not kinetic tremors. Just it's so good in GMs and raids. Like there's a lot of raid encounters where shoot to loot is like priceless, and like if you're ad clearing and it's a ranged ad clear type of encounter, so like Rolk, right? You're stuck at the back of the map the entire time, unless you're dunking, of course, but then you're not really shooting things anyways. So everybody else is stuck at the back; they can't move forward. You're killing stuff, and you have no way to pick up the orbs to regen your super, to get armor charge, and you have no way to scoop up ammo, right? So that's where shoot to loot comes in. Same thing goes for the witness, in fact. Yeah, because it's very likely that you'll be at the back of the map kind of ad clearing. Shoot to loot is priceless. And it's a lightweight frame. It's just a really good scout rifle. So as far as the red tape goes, like, it's too bad you can't get shoot to loot on red tape. They gave it attrition orbs and everything, and it's but no shoot to loot, because I'm just saying that though because red tape is the same frame as tarnished metal. but it doesn't roll explosive payload shoot to loot. Tears of Contrition, that's a very outdated scout rifle, but I did craft it, and it is fully enhanced and everything, and I used to use it quite a lot. The Guiding Sight, this is probably garbage. Enlightened Action Kill Clip from Iron Banner. It's a strand, high impact. High impact's like a pretty bad frame for scout rifles. Or bad feeling anyways in PvE, right? Yeah, I have no... Oh, that's not a good looking gun at all. What were they thinking with these shades of green? I'm colorblind, so I mean that, you know, I might be way off base here, but this is awful looking. And if a gun doesn't look good, I'm not going to use it. Like the Battle Scar, that pulse rifle that rolls with kinetic tremors and shoot to loot, like extremely good, lightweight frame. I just couldn't stand looking at it or listening to it, so I deleted it. So I guess this is infusion fodder. And that's kind of a shame too, though, because there's not, like, the only other stasis scout that I held on to was a Fang of Your Ute. And that doesn't have explosive payload shoot to loot either. So what can I infuse this into on the scout rifles? Well, Fang of Your Ute's pretty low. How about I just move them both over, since I was already talking about Fang of Your Ute and I'm on Strand Scouts. I should have organized these in alphabetical order and then, or by damage type. Shoot to loot hatchling, sword logic. So yeah, there's no immediate damage perk. Like you can never really just expect to get good damage out of a single shot because it doesn't have explosive payload. And sword logic, well, I mean, you can proc sword logic pretty quick. And that's like a frenzy equivalent damage value, at least 15%. I think you can get it up to 30. What is it, 30% if you kill a champ? I know it's like 50% if you kill a boss, but if you kill a boss, it's usually the end of the mission. So there's nothing left to use the buff on anyways. Yeah, so there. So I didn't get anything in return for that Guiding Sight other than a power bump on Fang of Your Ute. That's fine. Okay, well, there's basically nothing else that I have to get rid of on scout rifles. So I guess I'm keeping 16 scout rifles. Sidearms, 24. Okay, so I must have like some stuff that I farmed up in here that I didn't clean out, hopefully. Yeah, so what do I have on sidearms? I have 2 Baron actions. I crafted them both, so I'm not getting rid of those. I have an anonymous Autumn that I got while I was farming Iron Banner a few weeks ago. First bit of PvP I did in 2 years. It's a lightweight frame, so similar to Heliocentric with Volt Shot. Double perks, offhand strike, adagio. I guess I'll bring that over. Actually, I'll bring over all of the non-masterwork stuff. How about? Actually, there's a lot. Oh, it's because of Tanash's mastery. Okay, so I don't know if I should keep this or not, because I mean, well, Brigand's Law, right? I mean, like, why would I ever use this over Brigand's Law? I'm trying to figure that out. Because I got Threat Detector and Volt Shot on Brigand's Law. I guess this thing probably rolls with something that would make it stand out to Brigands, but oh yeah, because it's a Crucible weapon, it has like 24 different perks. Enlightened Action, Demo, Attrition Orbs. So if I ever wanted to use Volt Shot on this thing, it would be to combine it with probably Attrition Orbs. It does have Surrounded too, which is pretty good on sidearms. But yeah, this isn't a roll that I'm like have any reason to keep. So I'll just get rid of that. What other sidearms do I have? Breach Light. This, I don't even know why I'm keeping this thing. I think I really dislike this frame. Heavy Burst sidearm. That's the one where it's just like, isn't that the same as the Stasis one from Spire the Watcher? I find this weapon has like the weirdest aim assist values on console. If it's anything like the Stasis one from Spire. I just straight up deleted all of those god rolls. How you doing, Wesley Freeman? Was that heart for being an enjoyer of heavy burst sidearms like this Breach Light by chance? Because I'm trying to figure out why I might want to keep it. I know I kept it because it's like the obvious synergy here with Breach Light and Swashbuckler and Cast No Shadows, right? Triple melee perks. That's the only reason I kept it. So actually, maybe I should keep it. But it's not like, if I really wanted to get a good Breach Light, I can go do the first chest in Enigma Protocol and farm that. Like, I have a whole nother... I mean, we're going to have all of Heresy to still farm these episode activities. So, I mean, I could just kind of infinitely farm double perks on one and probably get Pugilist Swashbuckler pretty easily. But... yeah, I mean, the origin trait and those two perks, it's kind of hard to just delete that. Even though I've never used it and probably never will. But there's really... oh, well, yeah, and because I also have Michaels, right? So if I'm not going to use the call, like if I'm not using special ammo on a sidearm, then I would be inclined to use my Michaels because I invested in this and crafted it, and this thing is an absolute laser. This is one of the only weapons that I have that I've used in PvP, right? Well, that's because I barely ever play PvP, so there's like 3 weapons that I use. But this thing is good in PvP, but it's also really good in PvE. And I put Perpetual Motion on this for PvE. Right, because it's like, the problem with sidearms is they're so, like, the recoil on them makes them so unfriendly to use at any kind of range, right, unless you're like within melee range. And so yeah, this thing is essentially spec'd out for like max stability. So I bet if you looked at your own Michaels or went to go craft one, you'd have to think about it quite a bit to get it up to 83. But it makes a huge difference, and then when you get Perpetual Motion procced on it, it's like a laser beam. And without it, it's a very noticeable difference. Like the recoil, the visual recoil, and the actual recoil is going to be all over the place. But yeah, that's a raid weapon, and Breach Light is something I haven't even invested in. So, and you can never go wrong with Frenzy. Like, this gives all of the right feels for a close, like a CQC type of weapon. Perpetual Motion and Frenzy. Max reload, max handling, shoots like a laser. So it's hard for me to go do something like Breach Light, I think. But I'm still going to keep it for now just because of the triple melee synergy. Okay. What else do I have as far as sidearms that stick out? It's too bad we can't enhance Buzzard. I thought when Bungie said back in Into the Light when they're going to be allowing us to put enhanced perks on Nightfall weapons, I thought it was going to be retroactive, right? So I was like all excited to enhance my hotheads. Like I just went over that hung jury that I have. Like this one can't enhance it, even though it came out not that long ago. I mean, well, I guess it is long ago. Season of Defiance. And they said that with the final shape, they would be allowing you to enhance into the light weapons and many other weapons, right? And they were going to continue to retroactively enable enhancement on older weapons too. They haven't followed up on that. They haven't added any older weapons to the list of enhanceable weapons. So that's kind of a shame because this Buzzard is actually pretty... It's actually pretty nuts. Like if you're not going to use a rocket sidearm, this thing is really good in GMs. Like if we ever get like barrier sidearm again. I mean, just because of kinetic tremors, but yeah, too bad we can't enhance it. Right, and can you add the unique... Yeah, and because it's not enhanced, you don't even have access to the good mods either, even though this is an adept. So that's too bad. Okay, I've got a Drang Baroque and a Heliocentric, 2 solar sidearms, but they're different frames. Insurmountables, I've got 3 of those. How about I just bring those over and see if I can get rid of one of these. Okay, so the one that I invested in has repulsor surrounded, pretty much purely for Gervalcon's Hauberk. And then this would be like a universal role for red bar dungeon raid enemies on pretty much any build that just needs to quickly benefit from void overshields and do a bunch of splash damage, AoE, ad clear, right? So I should enhance that technically because I don't know how I feel about the magazine and barrel on this because I haven't really tested this weapon out a whole lot. Although I will say, like, I enhanced this for Gerfalcon's Hauberk, right? Because anytime I put repulsor brace and a damage perk on a weapon instead of destabilizing, it's because it's intended for Gerfalcons, right? Or maybe even like Briar Binds on Warlock, except, I mean, nobody's using Briar Binds anymore. I haven't. And that's pretty much about it. Because those are like kind of the only 2 builds where you're constantly applying void debuffs. Regularly anyways. But definitely Gerfalcons. So I did test it with Gerfalcons a bit. As you can see, I got 81 kills, but it is not... It just doesn't feel very good, unfortunately. Like, as a sidearm, when you compare it to, like, Buzzard, Michael's Reverence, what are the other ones that I've gone over? I mean, Heliocentric, Brigand's Law. Like, this thing feels bad. It just feels bad compared to those. Maybe I just got to get used to it, but it's almost more like it's like a scout rifle in sidearm version. Demo and Harmony, there's no reason why I should have that, so that's definitely infusion fodder. So that can clear up 1 vault space for me immediately. And then, do I have another primary void sidearm that has destabilizing repulsor? And destabilizing is getting a buff too, so right now you're gonna get volatile rounds from destabilizing rounds, which is kind of nuts. It's like volatile rounds light. It's going to be for like 2 seconds, but essentially it's going to allow you to do more splash damage, and you can instead of relying on a nearby enemy to die to spread volatile, you'll be able to get volatile rounds and then like do a 180 and shoot an ad at a completely different spawning group and apply volatile to that group of ads or to any enemy in there without having to kill any of them. So adding volatile rounds to destabilize rounds is going to be a game changer for that perk. It's just do I like the frame or not, and like is there any other void sidearm alternatives that I would use? I know we're getting a new void rocket sidearm from the Nightfalls in Heresy, right? Bungie just told us that in the TWID. But that's obviously a special ammo weapon, different beast, even though it's the same family. There's still going to be a need for actual primary. So yeah, I don't think I have any. Yeah, because if I look on Dim and if I sort all my sidearms by damage type, I literally just have Fiortura 59. And that thing is repulsor, brace, and threat detector. So the thing with this thing is this is a way better weapon than this, like as far as feeling like a sidearm and doing what you want it to do, because it's got the same frame as Brigand's Law. Where's Brigand's? Rapid fire. Yeah, they're both rapid fire frames, but Brigand's Law has threat detector and volt shot, whereas this thing has threat detector and repulsor brace. I mean, obviously there's better perks than repulsor brace, but like for using it on Falcons, repulsor's in the right column, so that kind of screws you out of a damage perk completely. And speaking of those damage perks, Swashbuckler, that's basically the best one. So it doesn't do anything fancy, but it is a pretty substantial damage buff, and if you're already using a sidearm. So I think... I mean, if I'm going to use a Void sidearm on Falcons, like, it'd be kind of an unwise decision to go with Fiortura when it has no damage perk. Whereas Insurmountable, I can have a 47% damage buff plus Void Overshields. This thing, no damage perk, ever. And then... So I would be better suited to use Fiortura outside of Falcons, like on another build, and then it would be threat detector Swashbuckler, so I wouldn't need this. There. So now I have no more Fiortura, unfortunately, because it's definitely a way better frame. But I think I'm gonna keep, if I do get a Swashbuckler or Pugilist even with if I get another one of these, I will look at keeping a threat detector or Pugilist with Swashbuckler, because you can get Pugilist in the left and Swash on the right, and then it could just be kind of its maybe have a different purpose in a different build. So I could masterwork this, because I mean that is a combo to keep, especially with destabilizing getting buffed. And since I'm cleaning my vault and I need to not have my Glimmer capped so that I'm not wasting resources for cleaning my vault, I guess I'll just enhance this too. So I have 2 of these sidearms that I've barely even used. Fully masterworked. Probably gonna regret doing this when I start to see what kind of heavies I have that I should be enhancing instead, or special weapons. But I'm just doing this for the purpose of the stream, I guess, to demonstrate that as you delete things, you should be enhancing things. Take out the trash and masterwork the goods. So I'm just going to take it to 17, and now I'm going to be low on alloys, but I'm thinking... Because the whole reason I'm doing this, obviously, is to make room so I can go back in and solo Puppeteer. If any of you guys tuning into the stream, that is the point here. I'm maxed out. I'm maxed out on vault space, maxed out on my characters, pretty much. And for me to go spend like an afternoon trying to solo Vespers host, I'm probably just gonna max out my postmaster, and because I'm not gonna be allowed to go to orbit, right? And so I just want to make sure that I have space before I go in there. But because I haven't been in the dungeon since Tuesday, so I'm like 3 or 4 days out of muscle memory on playing the game. So I'm probably gonna have to go warm up in. I guess I could do a couple onslaughts, not on stream today, but after I'm done cleaning my vault, I'll probably do like maybe 1 or 2 onslaughts just to get my muscle memory back to where it was with sliding and jumping and consecrating, and then I'll be fresh to go back into Vespers with vault space and warmed up, essentially, right? Okay, so yeah, I want to get through these sidearms. So for some reason I have 2 non-masterworked calls when I already have 2 enhanced masterworked. I guess I'll transfer that. I'm guessing infusion fodder. Slice Vorpal demo, desperate measures. 2000. I guess I think I just did some overthrows probably, and somehow these got slammed in my vault. I have no idea why, but I guess I can infuse 1 into here. Well, it's only 2. I'd rather have a 50-50 shot at enhancement core, so that frees up 2 spots. And then just in case anybody's wondering why I have 2 calls, and I might need to do a modification here because Rocket Sidearms got nerfed after these were crafted and after these were meta. So now I might have to look at putting what is it, like high explosive ordnance or extended mag, so that I can try and keep up with ammo reserves similarly to Tanash's. So that might be a more important perk to go with on the barrel, right? Whereas like we used to be able to just spec into whatever we want, like handling, projectile speed, reload on Rocket Sidearms because they were always ammo efficient. Now you kind of have to look at, do I want extended mag or explosive ordnance? So I might have to do some tweaks. But I'm keeping the perks the same, I think, because I don't think this thing rolls with lead from gold anyways. But yeah, obviously lead from gold is now going to be a more alluring pick for Rocket Sidearms as well. Like I've always felt comfortable going without lead from gold. It does roll lead from gold. Oof. Yeah, so like I might even have to craft a lead from gold with high explosive ordnance or extended mag, and then that would basically put this on par with like Tanash's Mastery with air trigger. Maybe not like, with its total reserve count, but just the whole function of lead from gold and just being able to naturally pick up more ammo. But I like demo Desperate Measures. One for All is also very good. This is just, Desperate Measures procs like all the time. And even when the weapon is stowed, it still procs, right? Melee kills, grenade kills, ability kills, weapon kills. Desperate Measures is being procced. Even at max, you can have that going. It's freer than One for All, essentially. And it synergizes with demo. But yeah, I wouldn't argue with anybody that went One for All, that's for sure. Slice Vorpal, I crafted that specifically for Herald in Salvation's Edge because I was kind of a noob at the time for Salvation's Edge, right? And I know we had Prismatic, but a lot of us weren't warmed up to going full on Prismatic builds and raids yet. Like a lot of people in LFG. We're not using Prismatic. Like we were still stuck on Strand Titan, Solar Titan. And this thing, I crafted this just to basically take out the Cabal. Like if you're on middle room duty for the Resonance, you get because each side has their own mini boss, right? Like the middle room has the Phalanx with the shield, and the right room has the Ogre, and the left room has the Wizard. So yeah, I kept getting stuck on the middle room with the phalanx, and he was being such a pain. Like I would have to become radiant to pierce his shield, or rocket sidearms were anti-barrier that season, right? So I just figured, well, I'll just go slice vorpal because I was also dying. So slice was allowing me to apply that 40% damage output reduction to that mini boss so that I can stay alive and shoot him straight through his shield and proc vorpal and at the same time because it's a mini boss. So that was like kind of, but obviously I've used it elsewhere. I think I've used it in GMs too occasionally, right? I think it's probably a better suited GM weapon than Demo Desperate. This is definitely more of an ad clear role, which I've obviously used 10 times as much as this thing. But yeah, that's why I got 2 of those. So, but now it sounds like I might have to either make a new one or tweak one of these ones to have lead from gold and high explosive ordnance or extended mag, just to keep up with the nerf to rocket sidearms. So, anyways, I got rid of 2 of those, keeping the 2 Masterworks. Do I have any other rockets or sidearms in general that I can get rid of? Tenacious. I had so many. I had literally every single chill clip roll on Tenacious Mastery. Like I said last stream, I actually got Iron Lord. I think I was saying that I didn't have Iron Lord, like I almost did, but I actually did get Iron Lord. It's just I can't guild it. What is this? I don't like flashing things. Yeah. So I got this, what was it, like a month ago? And I originally, I wasn't even going to do it, but then I just decided to, and then I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do it hardcore and get every weapon that I don't have. And yeah, I got Iron Lord, so I prestiged 4 times, but I got stiffed out of the title because you have to go, because I had already done all the challenges and it didn't retroactively count the weekly challenges because they were already done. So I would literally have to do all the challenges for this Iron Banner that's currently active, and I don't want to do that because you essentially have to regrind like a whole like a whole nother prestige. You probably have to reset your rank like a whole nother time. Definitely not doing that. But the point is, I farmed this weapon real well. Although I didn't get the air trigger extended mag roll, but where's the other one? I have one more. So I already deleted a bunch of them that I wasn't going to keep. So including the other chill clip rolls, but I kept air trigger, chill clip, obviously. Oh yeah, I do have extended mag, right? But I think is it explosive ordnance or high explosive ordnance? That one actually gives you like 2 more shots. I mean, it's so marginal it doesn't even matter, to be honest. But yeah, that's the workaround to the rocket sidearm nerf, is dedicating an entire perk, air trigger, to making it feel like it was never nerfed. But this roll is way better. This is definitely my favorite. Even though I have less ammo with this, I just play into special finisher, and the 40% buff on like whatchamacallem, what are the Cabal ships called again? Vehicles and constructs, right? This thing just melts them. Like the ones on Neomuna and Terminal Overload. I did a weapon video on it, so I should know what the enemy is called, what the ship is called. But yeah, deconstruct, even outside of vehicles and construct, deconstruct gives you more chill clip shots than any other perk combination because it's reloading the mag. So I've tested this. I can't remember exactly what it was, but you get like 10 shots or something ridiculous of chill clip in a row, right? Because it's constantly refilling the mag as you're doing damage. And naturally it's about half the magazine where you would get chill clip shots, or slightly above half, right? So if my mag is 13 and if I don't have deconstruct and I'm just dumping the mag, I'm probably going to have 9 chill clip shots, I want to say. Wait, 9? No. 6. As soon as it hits the halfway point, you lose chill clip. So, but if you have deconstruct, you get substantially more shots because it's reloading the magazine before you even get to the halfway point on it. So it's kind of like having rewind rounds. So yeah, lots of chill clip shots plus the occasional 40% buff. So the other Tanaches that I have though, deconstruct surrounded, not a good masterwork. I mean, I guess I kept deconstruct surrounded because it's the highest double damage perk that you can get on this thing, even though it's extremely situational. But I have tested this as well, like when I did the video on using deconstruct versus Briggs and stuff like that. Deconstruct chill clip was killing Briggs and the Cabal ships faster than Edge Transit with bait and switch. Just deconstruct and chill clip. So having deconstruct and surrounded didn't even really make a difference. It was like it was not even noticeable. And why would you really want to ever go surrounded when you have chill clip? I mean, it is a much bigger damage buff, but I don't know. I'm tempted to get rid of it because I don't want to hold on to 5 Tanaches. That's the thing. And then the only reason I kept this one is because it's got like quick launch or hard launch with extended mag, right? Which is what you want, this or high explosive ordnance, with reverberation one for all. So I was curious to test this combination because one for all, obviously you can, if you have a bigger blast radius, then theoretically you can proc one for all faster and more reliably. So that's the only reason I kept that. And then impulse chill clip. I mean, even though I'm in love with deconstruct chill clip, and then the practicality of air trigger chill clip, especially in like GMs, is hard to avoid. Impulse chill clip is really hard to delete too, because like my favorite indebted kindness is impulse volt shot. So I mean, like if you want just a nice snappy reload with good projectile speed, right? I mean, you can't go wrong with impulse. So I mean, so these two are more for like if I'm gonna test something, and this would be like if I just really want a good reliable rocket sidearm or Tanaches for proc and chill clip easily. I don't know. I guess it's too hard. Like, so I guess because Tanache is still kind of new, I'll suffice with holding those 5 for now, and then come back and revisit them. But so far, I'm not deleting very much here. Other than that, in the sidearms, I've got Sanuna with Feeding Frenzy Headstone. I actually really like that sidearm. And it's part of the reason why I deleted the Stasis sidearm from Spire the Watcher. Because that Spire the Watcher one is like Breachlight, and on console, the aim assist on it is really weird. The zoom on it is weird. It just feels awful. And this thing feels great. I mean, this is a really good sidearm. Kind of a sleeper. I definitely don't really see anybody using this, but like if you're just doing like red bar ad clear, normal dungeons, raids, etc., this thing just like melts everything. And and you proc headstone very reliably with it because it's an Omelon or Omelon, whatever. So you get that stability, right? It just shoots like a laser. Like I find all Omelon weapons just shoot like lasers. So yeah, you're constantly landing those precision kills and making headstones. And then Feeding Frenzy is just kind of whatever. It's pretty nice to have with it. Ricochet, corkscrew. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I use this actually pretty regularly, like if in dungeons, raids, stuff like that. Trash ads. So that's the only Stasis sidearm that I have that is not special, so I'm not getting rid of it. So that's pretty much it for sidearms. So how many am I keeping? I'm keeping 19 sidearms. Well, again, that's because I got 5 Tanache's Mastery. So 17 auto rifles, 17 hand cannons, 17 pulse rifles, 15 scout rifles, 19 sidearms, bows next. 12. I've got 12 bows. Take a sip of my coffee, water. Okay, bows. Under your skin. That was like my OG bow. Or that and fell taradiddle. Um, so, well, I mean, I can't just go into bows without talking about these two, because we got the new bow from Garden of Salvation, which is like literally the most enticing piece of loot that you can get out of that raid. For me personally, because I'm a huge fan of bows. And yeah, first bow to get kinetic tremors, right? And it's a precision frame, which I prefer. Um, and I actually prefer to craft my precision bows with more accuracy as opposed to draw time, even though it's like obviously more DPS with draw time. Maybe it's a console thing, I don't know, but I find that the faster your draw time is on a precision frame bow, the less likely you are to hit your shots, because the aim assist is like, I don't know, it does something to the aim assist where, like, I just find with precision bows, if you just use kind of a standard middle of the road draw time, or even like a length, like a longer draw time, right? Well, it's therefore more accuracy essentially, right? It could just be the accuracy stat itself and not have, it could have nothing to do with draw time, right? It's just typically if you have a fast draw time, you have low accuracy, which is why you're missing your shots. But on console, like, yeah, I do not like speccing full on into draw time for precision frame bows. But for like lightweights, it doesn't really make a difference because you're not really one-shotting trash heads in the head to kill them on lightweight frame bows. With precisions, though, you are, so it's definitely more critical that you land those shots. And then, obviously, with Archer's Tempo, that makes it even more important for faster draw time. But even without Archer's Tempo, just hit an enemy twice, boom, kinetic tremors procs, right? So, I mean, this, as soon as bows are back in the artifact, this thing is going to be goated. It's going to be the best bow, for sure. Explosive payload still does have a place. Like, this is my go-to bow for the kinetic slot, right? Previous to Accrued Redemption, which I've used a ton. Even in GMs, like, even though it's a lightweight frame and it does do less damage, you can still one-shot red bars with explosive head, right? Because there's no damage fall off on explosive head, and then shoot to loot is just invaluable utility. So this has a place in essentially all endgame activities, GMs, raids, for the exact same reasons that I was describing with like using hung jury or tarnished metal with explosive payload and shoot to loot. Yeah, I can just use fell taradiddle too, and I've done it plenty. So I'm not going to be deleting that, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm super hyped to actually use Accrued Redemption. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting like barrier bow. That'd be nice. Personally, my favorite anti-champion weapons are always barrier, right? Because it's like the most universally applicable anti-champion mod, generally speaking, in the game anyways. Because you can shoot through shields of all kinds. You can shoot through raider shields, phalanxes, yeah, lots of other things. But yeah, so barrier weapons, just generally speaking, are always my favorite. So hopefully we get anti-barrier bow in Heresy so that we can really lay waste with Accrued Redemption. Plus kinetic tremors is like the most satisfying thing to use on barriers as well, because you just bust them from the inside out. Don't take that out of context. But yeah, barrier puts its shield up, and then kinetic tremors if it's already going. Just like the poison tick damage from like Osteo, right, or Thorn, for that matter. If you can apply poison, then through the barrier weapon, and the barrier puts its shield up, the poison's going to bust the shield open, right? Essentially from the inside out. Kinetic Tremors does the same thing. Yeah, so hopefully we get barrier bow. Okay, so what other bows do I have? Do I even have any that I can get rid of? There hasn't really been any bows that have been like on the farming list lately. I feel like it's been a couple dry seasons for bows. I've got 2 Preasianics 4s, Adept, along with the Tyranny of Heaven. Well, I guess I'll just carry them over from Dim so I can look at them real quick. Tyranny of Heaven, Explosive Head, and Incandescent. I think you can also get Firefly and Incandescent on this thing, right? But I just love Explosive Head. It's just too good. And because I already knew from my experience with Fel Teradiddle that Explosive Head one-shots most red bars, even in GMs, I think. Definitely master content, like trash ads, like yeah, because it does do that on Fel Teradiddle. I was like, okay, well, I got to do that on tier. I don't want to be two-shotting ads if I can one-shot them, obviously, because then you're wasting twice as much time killing ads if you don't have one-shot capability, right? So that's why Explosive Head to me is just way more valuable than Firefly. Plus, I don't really think that Firefly like spreads Incandescent more anyways. I think that's kind of like it's kind of like a bait combo. But yeah, it's a lightweight. I think I used this to solo, like for most recent memory, I used it to solo Locusts in Warlord's Ruin. It was really good at taking out all the little Taken turrets, right, to get the big Scorn bosses to spawn in. It was good for one-shotting all of the Taken enemies that were red bars. Even the orange bar Scorn dudes, it was even one-shotting them, right? And I was running it on a solar build, like with Incandescent, so like I was doing more Scorch damage, more ignitions, plus like feeding into Ember of Empyrean. That was a good time. I think, well, that was during Season of the Wish, so I mean, that was just solar for 7 months straight. But that was definitely, yeah, that was the highlight for this weapon. But yeah, the only other comparable one is Preasianics being a solar bow, and I've got 2 of those. Why didn't it transfer over the other one? Probably because it's on my Warlock, I'm guessing, because right now my Warlock has all my best solar and kinetic weapons. Yeah, it says failed failed to apply. Anyways, I'll just read it out. I have on this one specifically Archer's Tempo Incandescent. On my other one, which is my more used one, I think it's Shoot to Loot and well, actually, I can just open up another dim and carry it over from my Warlock real quick. Pretty sure Warlock has it. No? Well, that's weird. So where is the bow at then? I have it selected in dim. And then I go to transfer to Titan. Is one equipped or something? Oh, it's equipped. Wait, what? Okay, how about I just stow some things? Maybe that'll make a difference. Move to Titan. Oh, okay, there it is. I guess I just need to make space. So, yeah, this one I enhanced and everything. So, I mean, this one has Shoot to Loot Explosive Head, right? So even though it doesn't have the solar synergy for builds, is the live stream still going? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, this doesn't have the solar synergy, obviously, but I mean, you can use any solar weapon and still benefit from Ember of Empyrean, right? Solar weapon kills, refresh, restoration, and radiant. So you don't need necessarily incandescent all the time, or heal clip for that matter. And in GMs, like I've already explained, shoot to loot and explosive head is just invaluable. So I'm not getting rid of that. That's like an invaluable tool to have. Shoot to loot, explosive head, whether it's on a scout or a bow. Got to have at least one in every element. For me anyways, just because I play so many different builds and like to synergize my weapons with my builds as much as possible. But this thing with incandescent, incandescent is nice, but it's harder to proc incandescent on primary weapons in GMs as opposed to, and plus you're giving up explosive head, right? You're giving up the infinite range. But if you're on a build where you're using like surges and you say you're getting like 18% extra solar weapon damage, plus you're constantly applying radiant, then you can definitely do some good damage to red bar adds in GMs with this thing. And having Archer's Tempo, allowing for very fast, sequential shots, essentially. You do a fair amount of work with this thing. Like I've used it I've used it farming GMs. I think in Battlegrounds on a Lorelei Splendor build, right? So I'm gonna keep 3 solar bows, and that's why I have 12 bows. Because I've also got 2 stasis bows, Raconteur. I've got 2 Raconteurs. And that's the same story as the Pre-Astyanax. I'm not even going to carry it over. Because it's the same frame and everything. So on one of the Raconteurs, I have Shoot to Loot and Explosive Head for the exact same reason. And then on the other one, I've got Archer's Tempo and Headstone, right? So it's the equivalent of Archer's Tempo and Incandescent for stasis builds, right? So that's why I'm keeping 2 of those. Then I've got 1 Vengeful Whisper with Explosive Head and Hatchling, and I've got 2 Void Bows, Under Your Skin and Lethophobia. Lethophobia was from last season, right? Or Season of the Wish, I think. Let's see. Under Your Skin, this is like I said, this is pretty much my first bow, because I really only started playing Destiny 2 again when Witch Queen came out. So yeah, this was Season of the Risen, and I basically did everything in the game with this thing. That's why I have a lot of kills on it. But I think I had Archer's Tempo and Explosive Head on it for most of the time, and it wasn't until like recently that I decided to put Unrelenting on it instead. But then on the Lethophobia, which is the lightweight, so much less accurate, less damage, I basically just built this out for Gerfalcons again. Repulsor and Explosive Head. So yeah, really good volatile rounds bow. And wait, does this thing roll with destabilizing too? Because now I essentially have to start revisiting all the weapons that can roll destabilizing rounds, and not just and when I do get weapons with destabilizing rounds, now I have to actually kind of pay attention to it, because it's not just the occasional volatile application to a collateral, like on a collateral, right? You're actually going to get volatile rounds now on destabilizing rounds for like 2 seconds. So Lethophobia rolls with Repulsor Brace and no destabilizing rounds at all? Huh. Because I feel like they released that weapon when Bungie started putting Repulsor and destabilizing in different columns on basically every Void weapon. But yeah, I guess that one got left out. So that one remains for Gerfalcons. Under Your Skin remains for everything else endgame. Unfortunately, still no Shoot to Loot Void Bow. But anyways, that's bows done. So now on to submachine guns, SMGs. I have 21 of those legendary weapons. Skimming through here, is there anything that I can get rid of?
Language is finally going to be decent with destabilizing rounds.
Yeah, was I talking to you about that harsh language last stream? So I was talking about harsh language specifically with destabilizing, and no, I don't think it was you, but it was yeah, somebody was telling me about they run destabilizing and what's the other perk? Maybe envious or something like that on harsh language. Harsh language is the wave frame, correct? But yeah, that would be awesome on a sentinel build with controlled demolition. Right. I don't know. Like having volatile rounds now on destabilizing rounds is going to be interesting to experiment with. But harsh language is like one of the more slept on waveframe GLs.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, no, I remember who it was. But it's just funny that you bring that up because I never see anybody using harsh language ever.
I like Wellspring.
That's it. They were using Wellspring and destabilizing. Yeah, he was using the same, yeah, exact same role. See, on my harsh language, I'll bring, even though I'm not on GLs yet, I'm almost there, but I'll bring it over just since you brought that up. So, like I've already been talking about with Gerfalcons, like normally, well, I'm only using this on Gerfalcons, right?
On it is too much work when I pull it out to shoot.
Yeah, nice in theory with Envious, but it's not like a consistent, reliable thing. And then I just get pissed off if it's not reloaded, right? Like that's what I like about autoloading. Like even with nerfed autoloading and reconstruction for that matter, you know that after X amount of seconds it's reloaded. But yeah, so on my harsh language, I just have stats for all repulsor brace for Gerfalcons so that I can just, like, I mean, you basically get max reload speed or something close to that from stats for all and volatile rounds. So with the overshields, right? It's like forbearance. But yeah, so now your roll with destabilizing rounds, and now if I get a roll with destabilizing rounds, I might be inclined to keep it as well. With Wellspring probably, because I mean that just makes sense. You're doing a lot of damage instances and AOE, so that should synergize pretty nicely with Wellspring, especially on a Sentinel build, because then you get the free healing too. So yeah, I guess I got to start looking at harsh languages again. Okay, where I was on side, I finished sidearms. Fortunate Star from the event is the only bow that gets destabilized rounds repulsor brace. Okay, is that the current event? I don't really pay too much attention to the events. So like, I know we had the hullabaloo. I know that was a weapon to pay attention to, but I didn't even farm that. Dim organizer weapons. Oh, I have to type in is legendary again because I don't want to see my exotics because I'm not deleting exotics. Right, I was on SMGs. Okay, alphabetical order, Callus Mini Tool, Icolos Imminence. I got 2 Imminences. Well, one's crafted and one is Adept. I'm still hoping to get a better Adept. I've got 2 Multi-Mocs. Yeah, so... Well, I guess I'll just bring over the dupes.
The Solstice event.
Okay, sorry, I was just checking my son's stream there. I thought the internet might have conked out on him for a second. but he's all good. He's still streaming. If anybody watches Fortnite at all, my son is doing his ranked on Twitch. Mailman Smint. Actually, I'll put him in chat. He's like a top whatever thousands in the world in Unreal in essentially every game mode. And he is an affiliate on Twitch, but he's not 18 yet, so he can't really benefit from anything. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of him. So feel free to check him out if you're interested in Fortnite at all. If you do watch any BR, and if you do go on Twitch.
On Twitch.
Okay, yeah. So back to the SMGs, imminences. I've got 2 of them. Demo hatchling. I mean, this one is like for the obvious warlock build with threat of evolution and spamming threadlings and stuff like that. Maybe swarmers, etc. But it is really nice just passive damage too. Like on essentially any build, hatchling is good for encounters like lanterns or whatever the first encounter is, Abyss and Crota's End, right? Because you don't have time to focus every enemy on the way. Instead, you just shoot one enemy every now and then the little hatchling goes off and kills the enemies that you can't see. So it's like doing work for you in the background, including like helping you regen your super and all that kind of stuff. So like I know hatchling gets a lot of hate sometimes, but it's situationally very good. Like even outside of build crafting specifically into swarmers and unravel and all that. But ultimately, this is the role that I use like on any class for essentially anything perpetual motion and chaos reshaped. Anytime I put perpetual motion on my weapons, it's because I've tested it specifically at the Enclave. Because normally, like, if I'm shooting the thing and there's a lot of visual recoil, I will usually aim to make that less so, because I don't like a lot of visual recoil or recoil in general, right? So I got 100 recoil direction on it, obviously, from Arrowhead, and then Flared Magwell gives you some more stability. Perpetual motion, I think, gives you, 40 stability or something like that. So yeah, I mean, again, just like the Michaels, when I was going over Michaels, I put that on there as well, and it turns it into an absolute laser. So yeah, like if you ever feel like you have a hard time controlling SMGs and sidearms as a console player specifically, I guess, on controller, then perpetual motion is really good, even in PvE. But Chaos Reshaped is nuts on this. It's pretty much always procced, and that's 35% damage plus healing, right? So obviously, if I do get an adept, then I'm gonna probably put something else on this one. I'm not just gonna delete it, because then you're just deleting enhancement cores, but potentially use it to change the perks. What other SMGs do I have? So I'm keeping both of those Strand SMGs. You'll notice those are the only 2 Strand SMGs I have. I mean, you won't notice because you don't see the inside of my vault or my entire inventory, but Synchronic Roulette from Neomuna, I deleted all those because that thing shoots all over the place, and it's a 600 RPM. And it's weak. You would think for like a lower RPM, more ranged type of frame or archetype, you would think it would shoot better. Shoot like more of a laser beam, but it doesn't. Like perpetual motion is way better. Maybe that's just because I have imminence is way better, but maybe that's just because I have perpetual motion on it. But yeah, and that's a 900 RPM lightweight. Speaking of lightweight frames, I've got 2 multi-mocks. Banshee gave us a free one, the God Roll, I guess, that was weight gated. So pretty much everybody should have this one if you were playing for, like, how long did he have? I think he still has it, doesn't he? I'm not too sure, because there's some weapons that I didn't grab from him, and I'm pretty sure he's still He's still trying to sell them to me. But I kept this one as well while I was farming Tanash's Mastery and Tusk of the Boar, because Under Over is essentially a 50% damage perk. 50% damage buff versus subjugators and barrier shields and shields in general. And what else? I think there's some other things that Under Over does damage to, but it's one of those niche perks like Deconstruct. So yeah, don't just automatically delete it, because situationally is kind of like one of the best perks in the game. And I've actually used it more than, for some reason, than the Attrition Orbs multi-mock. I don't know why. I was probably just testing it or something. So I don't want to delete either of those. And then I also have... Oh, I guess I do have one that I could delete. I have a Under Over Frenzy. I mean, the only reason that I might want to keep Frenzy is because Kinetic Tremors could potentially get nerfed. You like it? Yeah, and I'm curious to know how that works in PvP too. Under Over Frenzy, I mean, like I've already explained, you can't go wrong with Frenzy. It's just, and it is essentially my favorite perk that's not Kinetic Tremors. Yeah, that makes sense, because then you're just being redundant, right? Like, you don't really need two weapons creating orbs, especially when one of them creates orbs like it's glitched, like it just shits out orbs like crazy. Then yeah, you'd kind of be wasting utility. I guess I can just get rid of that. I would only revert back to Frenzy if Kinetic Tremors got nerfed. 2010, 2010. I'll just keep both of those multi-mocks. Alright, I made one more vault space. Okay, then we got no survivors. Never got the God roll. Even though, I guess I only have 33 Ghosts of the Deep clears or something like that. So I guess it's no wonder I don't have a good no survivors. I'd probably need to either farm a checkpoint or get like at least 50 clears in the dungeon to get a suitable God roll. Outside of being like extremely lucky, of course. No survivors. Range. Oh yeah, I wanted demo and incandescent, and all I got was rangefinder and incandescent. So I mean, Callus mini tool. Actually, I could just compare solar SMGs real quick. No survivors, Parabellum, Callus mini tool. Bring them on over. Item requested was not found. Yeah, well, I bet I can find it myself if I just go in here. There's that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I have two of these Parabellums, 900 RPM. So this is what I don't get about SMGs, like 900 the RPM doesn't necessarily indicate what frame it is, because I was always under the impression that like 900 RPM was lightweight, but Parabellum's adaptive. Heal Clip and Frenzy, right? So the only thing is this doesn't have Incandescent, but I mean, if I do want to do more damage and I don't care about Incandescent for whatever reason, I will use this. And the only reason I enhance it is because it was sticking around in my vault for like... it was, yeah, I just refused to ever delete it because I mean that's a synergistic perk combo. Heal Clip is always good, and then Frenzy's max reload, and you need reload for Heal Clip. So, and Frenzy's always a good perk. It's just every other single solar primary in the game has Incandescent, so that's the sacrifice. So Callus Mini Tool, Unrelenting Incandescent. I do think Threat Detector's better on it though. I originally had Threat Detector. I gotta go check my dogs real quick.
Adaptive 900 SMGs do slightly less damage. It shows more impact but does less damage than Rapid 900's. Person shrugging.
Okay. Sorry guys, I'm back. My daughter just stopped by out of the blue to pick up her mail. Adaptive 900 SMGs do slightly less damage. Okay, interesting. I guess they shoot better probably, right? Because I know lightweights are kind of all over the place. It shows more impact but does less damage than rapids. Okay. Appreciate the info. Yeah, so stats for all frenzy, well that's definitely infusion fodder, so I'm just gonna do the obvious there and make one extra vault space and keep all 3 solar SMGs. Actually, I don't even know why I'm keeping this no survivors. Like if I really want the no survivors that I'm gonna use, I should just tough it out and go farm Ghosts of the Deep, right? Like otherwise I'm just gonna use Callus Mini Tool or this thing. I don't even know why I have kills on this. Yeah, I should just put it on my kind of my to-do list or shopping list or whatever. A free 7, well not free, but I got 7 enhancement cores that I didn't have before, so that's pretty good. Okay, so I have Prolonged Engagement, Yarovit, Imminence I already went over. I lost the order here. Multi-Mock, Noxious Vetiver. So I still don't have Jolting Feedback and Attrition Orbs for this thing, right? As soon as I get Attrition Orbs with this, I'm probably just going to Masterwork it and call it good. But in the meantime, I mean, I could honestly probably just get rid of Pugilist. I always think of these builds where I'm like, oh, you know, this is a melee build. I should see if I have any Pugilist weapons. But Pugilist is just a worse demo. And being on a primary weapon especially, it's like, what, 10% per kill? I mean, don't get me wrong, it could definitely top up your Consecration or your Arcane Needle. Like, if you're just, you know, super close to having it back, you can just get a kill and then you'll immediately get your melee charge back. But I just find it's like the opportunity cost it's too much because you're giving up so many other good perks for Pugilist. So I essentially almost always delete my pugilist weapons, and then I never have one for when I do want to experiment with it. But because like if I have attrition orbs, that's just going to be good on like so many builds in lots of different ways. Because I mean, you can get so much from orbs of power, anyways. Like I can get more than on innervation or whatever the combat mod is, where you get melee energy when you pick up an orb. How much energy do you get for that compared to pugilist? The downside is you have to go and pick up the orb, but I don't know. I could probably just get rid of that. I'll keep Unrelenting. Yeah, I'll keep Unrelenting. Unrelenting, I keep finding myself more and more favorable to Unrelenting whenever I use it. Like in my past recent streams where I've been soloing Puppeteer, for example. Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, I feel a little bit better about deleting it now that you agree with me. But yeah, Unrelenting is so friggin' good. Like in the red room and blue room downstairs Puppeteer solo. Like I had this lost signal with Unrelenting, right? That I have two lost signals. I have Vorpal with autoloading, and then I have Unrelenting with autoloading. And I was usually using Vorpal on everything because it's like, well, duh. Yeah. But I was using Vorpal because I was using it in damage rotations to debuff bosses, and it's an extra 15% damage, so it's kind of just a no-brainer in general. But really, you're not really using the area denial for damage anyways. Like it's kind of on the bottom of the list for special weapons for actual damage. It's more for utility of like building up your super, building up your transcendence, doing damage over time, applying seasonal artifact buffs like concussive reload or whatever the one is where you get free weaken from it, right? So Vorpal's not really an optimal perk on there in most cases. And Unrelenting, so I crafted a second one, put Unrelenting on it after, and then all of a sudden I was staying alive a lot more, like because I was spamming it at the ads and
survivability, so it helps.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I have Unrelenting on my Forbearance too, instead of Ambitious Assassin. And I've used that specific Waveframe GL with Unrelenting to stay alive, like soloing Ektar, for example. It's insane in that encounter. But Lost Signal was like if I'm in the red room or the blue room, and if I don't have a consecration, or if I'm just getting like radiation stacks like crazy and I have to retreat, but I'm on a timer and I can't go in there for the melee, I can sit at the back and I could spam Lost Signal, and because it's a guaranteed heal on yellow bars. I think orange bars too, right? But the fact that it's a guaranteed heal, it's essentially proccing knockout from range. Anyways, so it's like I just kind of forgot that I had that tactic as an option until I started like kind of inadvertently getting heals every now and then. I was like, oh yeah, Unrelenting's super good, especially when you can't pick up an orb, right? So that's why I have Unrelenting Jolting Feedback on this thing, and I haven't gotten rid of it yet. So I'll probably keep that, and I'll probably keep an Attrition Orbs. So what else do I have? Take a sip of my coffee. Yeah. Anyways, so like for tomorrow, I'm still gonna stream here for a little bit, but tomorrow I'm hoping that I'm gonna be back into soloing Vespers, like the entire dungeon this time, start to finish. Now that I've soloed the entire dungeon, but with breaks in between, I know I can just do it in one shot. but I just wanted to get my vault clean before I do that. And then I need to do a little bit of warming up and get my muscle memory working again with consecration sliding and slamming and all that stuff, so I don't just like go into soloing the puppeteer and then just send myself flying off the map after spending like an hour and a half getting there. Because I do intend on doing the strat that I did to actually solo the dungeon. With anarchy and consecration and all that kind of stuff. So I'm almost done with primaries. This is literally the last primary category, and then it's specials. Yaravit. So I got 2 stasis SMGs that are 900 RPM that are lightweight frame. Prolonged engagement, Yaravit. Actually, I just should organize this dim list by damage type just to make sure. Guess I'll bring those over real quick and talk about them briefly. I'm favorable to prolonged engagement simply because it's like Recluse and Funnel Web, and it just has that feel. Again, kind of like a Call of Duty, Battlefield. It's kind of like a... I just like the way the weapon looks and feels. It's got that same kind of modern shooter vibe that like the 7th Seraph Carbine does in its own way. So I'm immediately favorable to using this over something like Yaravit just because of that. But I think Yaravit's probably a better weapon, even because they're the same frame, right? So it's like, why would you keep one over the other? But I mean, surrounded, 47% extra damage. If I want to synergize into stasis builds, headstone. I mean, subsistence can't go wrong for ad clear. The only downside to this thing is it doesn't have frenzy, unlike my Recluse and my funnel web, so it doesn't feel as good on the reload. Excuse me, on the reload and the handling. Vanguard's Vindication is kind of nice as well. Being a Vanguard weapon, a little bit of healing.
Is better in my opinion, and it can get more perk if you want headstone and frenzy.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's definitely like a better. If you only had one vault space for one stasis SMG,
Origin trade is better.
Then you would go with that. Yeah, I do think this is the one thing I was going to say about Yaravit though, is that I think this is a better headstone weapon because it's so stable with Omolon fluid dynamics, and just generally all of the Omolon weapons shoot like laser beams, like the Sununa sidearm. I don't know if you saw me talking about that one, but same thing. Even though it's a sidearm, it's actually a really good sidearm at consistently proccing headstone, just because it's so accurate. And this is a pretty good combo as well, rewind rounds and headstone. Although, like, if you're gonna, I mean, you do get the reload benefit from Omolon, so it's not like you necessarily want to play into not reloading, but ricochet and arrowhead and range. So this would be like, I think this is the superior stasis synergy weapon for headstone over prolonged engagement, because this thing is a little bit wild. Even though it has a 100 recoil direction, that doesn't mean anything about the vertical recoil, right? That's just horizontal. And I think visual recoil is its own thing as well. So yeah, they definitely feel like two different weapons. I should be doing this in the Enclave. Actually, I'll just go to the Enclave because that would be a way more interactive way to actually talk about some of these primary weapons as far as stats go. I don't know if I just clicked on the dungeon or if I just clicked on Enclave, because I always get those two mixed up. Well, and since I'm going to be there, I can show perpetual motion, because that's like one of the few perks that you can actually test in the Enclave. The Enclave is so great in theory, an actual test range, right? But you can't test it on anything except for these plates that don't tell you anything. There's no enemies, there's no like proper values, there's no like varying target types, etc. Ugh, this thing. Yeah, so I just want to go shoot those SMGs real quick. Yeah, see, I just don't like the way this feels compared to Brigand's Law, Heliocentric. But yeah, anyways, prolonged engagement. So I've got what on this now? Subsistence, surrounded. Well, I basically have nothing to increase. Basically, yeah, okay. I got nothing to increase stability or recoil as far as perks or anything like that. Stability is 48.
I don't remember the name.
Rip that social place in Callous Raid. Yeah, see, that was before my time. Invested in Destiny 2. I was post Witch Queen. So yeah, I don't know what that is. You'd have to tell me about it. I used to go to Nightmare Containment to do a lot of my testing that wasn't like specifically weapons, like for builds and stuff. Now I go to mostly Terminal Overload. Okay. So that versus Yeravit for a headstone weapon. Like, you're obviously going to be hitting more, I think, with this thing. You're going to be hitting more headstone procs. It's a laser beam. Even the second plate. Okay, if I don't try to control the recoil at all, just holding down the trigger, that versus that. Yeah, look at the horizontal recoil on it. It is pretty predictable, though. You can just tug down and to the right to control recoil a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're right. Like, if you had to keep one, I'd be keeping prolonged engagements for the simple fact that you can get all kinds of different perks on this thing. The Dawning of Season of the Seraph. Okay, cool. So pretty much right before Strand came out, then. Right before Lightfall. That was a good weapon set with Season of the Seraph. Yeah, I didn't talk about the bow. I already went over the bow section, but Tripwire Canary was a pretty fun bow to use. I guess I can show what I mean by previously I was talking about perpetual motion on like this versus this. Okay, so and then if I don't, okay, I'm just letting it go, not pulling down at all, right? And then if I actually proc perpetual motion, wait, get the faster reload, and that's just ×1. But you have to keep moving, right? Yeah, that's the thing. You lose it. But anyways, it shoots. Okay, let me get it procced again.
Retrofit was voted.
Okay, that's ×2. I mean, this is a 900 RPM, so on console, like, this is kind of me doing my best without really practicing this too much to stay on target. And then if I lose perpetual motion, it definitely feels way better with perpetual motion. Anyways, other than that, I've got I've got a lot of void SMGs. Or actually, I got rid of my funnel web in favor of recluse because I have 4 void SMGs. I think these are the last ones for me to compare on primaries. Let's see. So this was, I got rid of my main Unforgiven workhorse, right? For a long time, I had all I can get out of Duality was Repulsor Brace and Tunnel Vision for my Gerfalcons build, right? Because that was during the era when Gerfalcons was just kind of, like when Gerfalcons was released, when they gave us the exotic, essentially the best SMG to use with it was Unforgiven because of Repulsor Brace. There wasn't any other Void SMG with that perk. There was Funnel Web, which was also very good with volatile rounds, but it didn't have Repulsor Brace, so everybody was using Unforgiven. And this was the best roll that you can get with it, essentially, but I didn't get this until, like, we were already kind of, like, way past that as far as meta, right? So, like, I didn't really even get to use the demo Repulsor Brace roll a lot. On my Tunnel Vision Repulsor Brace, I probably had thousands of kills, because at that point I was like soloing Nightfalls and stuff. So I was getting like a lot of kills with specific weapons. But yeah, then we got Recluse, so that just literally just replaced my Funnel Web. Does it have Vice Stinger too? That's the only thing though, is I guess it doesn't have Vice Stinger, so maybe I should have held on to my Perpetual Motion Frenzy Funnel Web, but this has got the Void Synergy going for it with your Falcons, and it feels basically like the same weapon, and it's got Indomitability, and you can argue that Indomitability pretty much outweighs Vice Stinger in PvE, especially when you already have Frenzy. Like, it's not like you need help getting ammo back in the mag to keep shooting it with max reload speed. And then Repulsor Destabilizing for neutral game on basically any build, right? Dungeons, raids, red bar ads, trash ads, just a good survival piece of kit right there. You haven't been able to give up Funnel Web just yet? Yeah, it was one of the last things. Like, it took me a long time to get rid of it. I held on to it for quite a while, but there was one point where I just felt like I had to do like a ruthless vault cleaning.
I like Demo Frenzy on Unforgiven. Destabilizing getting
yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I've already pointed that out on a couple weapons that I've looked at, trying to clean my vault with destabilized rounds. I'm like, oh yeah, now it's gonna be really good. Yeah, I just totally forgot to think about that on my Recluse too. Same thing. Demo Frenzy on Unforgiven. I mean, yeah, so I used this quite a bit, even like on I must have used it mostly in GMs for Demo Frenzy, because normally if I'm on a volatile build, I was always going Repulsor Brace. No, yeah, I think some of my first videos that I ever put up on my channel a couple years ago, like I was using this weapon literally with Lingering Dread. I was using the two duality weapons to do like solo flawless, master weekly campaign missions and Nightfalls. So yeah, if you went way back in there, you can see me using that. So there's definitely some nostalgia tied into Unforgiven for me, and for all the duality weapons. Like, I think because that was like the first dungeon that came out when I was really hardcore playing the game. That was my first dungeon, basically. And the weapons, they did such a good job, and I don't think I'm just partial or biased in any way, or just because it was the first dungeon I did. I strongly think that Bungie did the best job with that weapon set for dungeons. Like, as far as looks go, like, what other dungeon weapons do we have that look this friggin' cool? I mean, Vespers they did a pretty good job on Vespers, but it's a little bit wacky. It's a little space nerdy. Yeah, and Storm Chaser's like my favorite weapon in the entire game. Like, if I had to pick one weapon off the top of my head for the sound, the look, the feel, for a heavy weapon, it's Storm Chaser. I really wish we could enhance these. And then same for Lingering Dread. Like that, like, are GLs next? I'm just really anxious to get over to GLs. But because we just got the double frame, chill clip, disorienting GL, right? But I still prefer Lingering Dread, because I've got disorienting, autoloading, and chill clip on that thing. And it's a lightweight frame. So, better movement, better mobility. and it has auto loading, and the new one doesn't. The double fire frame doesn't have auto loading. Like if you, unless you want to have completely change your play style so that you're sliding around the entire time, which albeit if you're on Consecration Titan, that's actually pretty useful. And it's a very easy thing to add to your kit. Like if you're on a Consecration build or a Lightning Surge build, then Slideways is a very good perk to just play into because it's kind of automatic. But outside of that, like I'd rather have auto loading holster on a Disorienting GL. And also because I don't need to spam it.
Much for the GL never got it. Boudet juice.
Yeah. It took me a while to get well, like I was saying with Unforgiven there, I was stuck using Tunnel Vision and Repulsor Brace to basically do all the relevant content when that weapon was doing well. Right, and then I got Demo Repulsor Brace, the one I was farming for when I was, basically when Recluse came out. So I didn't even get to use it. Fortunately, though, for the GL, I guess I'll just bring it over, or it's probably up in my vault, so I can just look at it. Yeah. Right. Imagine if we could enhance this. That would be so nice. But quick launch, velocity, right? The only thing that would be better that maybe is handling. I think velocity is better though, especially with chill clip, because then you're more likely to proc that slow on a, like you could still two-shot unstoppables with this thing. But autoloading just makes it so much superior IMO than what is it, Liturgy, the new one? But anyways, was I almost done with SMGs? I think I am. Yeah. Okay, fusion rifles next. So I'm just on dim. If you're just tuning into the stream and wondering what the hell I'm doing, obviously I'm vault cleaning because you probably saw the thumbnail and the title. I did part 1 of this stream a couple days ago. I made it through auto rifles and hand cannons and pulse rifles in one stream. Hugely inefficient vault cleaning, just saying, because I end up talking about god rolls and stuff, which is fun, and gives everybody something to talk about, which is cool. So far this stream, I've gotten through scout rifles, sidearms, bows, submachine guns, and now moving into special weapons. So as far as legendary weapons on dim, right, because when I go onto dim, I go to the organizer tab. In the search bar, I type in legendary. I click on is legendary, right? So I just filter out all exotics so that I'm just seeing what legendaries I can get rid of, because I know I don't have any dupe exotics anyways. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So I'm just looking at all of my fusion rifles. All together for the primaries, I got 17 AR, 17 hand cannons, 17 pulse rifles, 15 scouts, 19 sidearms, 12 bows, 17 SMGs. IMO, that's way too much. Like, I feel like I should have 30% of that. So if I have to do a ruthless vault cleaning, I'm going to have to set myself some parameters and some rules where I just don't even think about it. It's basically just, just delete it. And then, yeah, forget about it. That I might have to go that route, like if I want to keep all these exotic class items and ergosumes until Bungie decides to put them in collections. But yeah, I've got 18 fusion rifles, so that's going to be next. Everything with an origin trait should be enhanced. I agree, yeah, because it's just not fair at that point. Like some of the old loot is, but some of it isn't. Like it just doesn't really make a ton of sense. And speaking of like setting myself parameters, because that's one way that I manage loot in this game is like I purposely, before Iron Banner, before the one that came around, I purposely would delete every single PvP weapon. Anything that came from PvP, I'd delete it because I don't play PvP. Anything that doesn't have an origin trait, I also delete.
They need to allow you to remove mementos. Small quality of life chink.
Over 1,000, not worth keeping IMO.
rifle buff is great, but high impact.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Like, as long as you can set some kind of rule for yourself, that's the only way to stay disciplined about it. And because otherwise, you're just kind of like, I don't know, you're just deleting one thing at a time, and then it would seem to me at that point you're not really playing the game. Like if you do one activity and then you have to go to the postmaster in the vault immediately, like you should be able to have a whole gaming session for like a few hours or whatever it is that you got time for, where you do not have to do that. You should not have to go to your postmaster in your vault in one gaming session. To me, that's like maybe once a week go and clean the stuff out. So you gotta have some rules for yourself. They need to allow you to, sorry guys, just getting caught up. They need to allow you to remove mementos. Yeah, I can't stand the memento system either. Like, and the way it's organized into the shaders. Like you can't even, like what's a memento and what's a shader? Oh, there's nothing to immediately tell you. And I feel like also when you want to preview a memento, so say I want to put a memento on this thing, I can't even preview it. Like I can't look at it right now. I should be able to press triangle because I'm on PS5, like you would normally preview a shader. So yeah, so can you preview the shaders like that? Yeah, preview triangle, right? Why can't I do this over here, but with a huge investment like a memento that you can't even remove, to your point, you can't even preview it. So this is the reason why I don't even use mementos, because it's so awkward to use as far as the UI goes. But yeah, if you could be able to remove mementos, that would, yeah, because the memento should be like, you should be able to do that. You earn the memento itself. I don't know. I agree with you.
At least now you can preview memento in the shader menu.
Right.
I think only being able to hold 3 is dumb as well.
Hold 3. Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with a lot of the caps in this game. Like the resource caps and stuff. It just, to me, doesn't really make sense. But yeah, these should be, even though it is nice that you can preview them in here now, it should be immediately obvious that these are mementos and not regular shaders. There's nothing to tell you that's a shader or a memento if you're just scanning through here. Man, we have a lot of mementos now. I do have one of these garden ones to spend too. But yeah, if you like, if they fixed all those little things, then you would also be able to like make a better decision about what to put your memento on.
Some weapons just aren't needed that season in harder content or artifact benefits.
Yeah, and I think, well, what I was thinking too that I can do with the mementos is because I have so few of them, mainly because of the caps, because I don't really pay attention. Like I constantly have the Vanguard ones, like if I'm farming a Nightfall, right? The Triumph, is it this one? Triumphant Keepsake? But because it was always capped, and before they increased it to 3, it was 1. Remember, you used to only be able to hold 1 of these? So, like, if you didn't go to the tower after every Grandmaster, then you'd be stuck with just 1 memento forever, when you could have had, like, 300. But, anyways, it's too bad. Like, it's not a very nice memento, though. But yeah, I kind of lost track of where I was going with that. Fusion rifles. That's where I'm at. Special weapons, I've got 18 fusions. I hope we get fusions in the Artifact and Heresy. That would be nice. I'd like to see fusions and bows, right? I swear if I see pulse rifles and scout rifles in the next Artifact for champion counters again, I don't know what I'm gonna think, but I'm definitely gonna be scratching my head. But yeah, I find we don't get a lot of these special weapons in the artifact enough, like fusions and shotguns. It's just this season. Like, when's the last time we ever got shotguns? I don't think ever since I've been playing. So, have we ever had shotguns in the artifact since Witch Queen? Um. Anyways, fusion rifles.
Fusions would be so nice. We had only one season and so long ago.
So nice. We had. Right. Yeah, was it? But it still wasn't a champion counter. But they did. Yeah, it was. Wait, I might be conflating Season of the Wish with Fusion simply because we had Scatter Signal that season. But did we actually have fusion buffs as well? Like when Warlord's Ruin came out, we got Scatter Signal and Dragon's Breath and all that. Were fusions in the artifact as well? I feel like we had fusion, we had Overload Fusion or something like that. Maybe it was Season of the Seraph. But yeah, either way, like one time in like 8 seasons is kind of, I don't know. When they repeatedly put scout rifles and pulses in every single season, it seems like.
I don't remember when.
Unstopped fusion with particle okay. Yeah, and I think like the season right before I started playing too, like because I remember when I started playing in Risen and Witch Queen, everybody was still talking about particle deconstruction, like they're just fresh off of it or something. And Beyond Light, I didn't experience it myself, but so I've got 18 fusion rifles, loaded question adept, iterative loop. Should I just bring over like likewise damage types? Switch it up, please. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and don't give us 7 months of solar or any like one thing again ever. So as far as void fusion rifles go, I should be able to start getting rid of some of these gravitic arrests because I don't use adaptive frames in PvE. Yeah, that would make sense to me. I do like barrier shotgun though. I do find that's a fun meta, like especially on Consecration Titan. Although if you have Dawn or whatever, if you're Radiant while you're consecrating, that you don't need barrier shotgun. You could have barrier shotgun without the artifact. But yeah, I am enjoying shotguns a bit more this season because they're in the artifact. And I guess to be fair, they've made some adjustments to shotguns as well as far as range and pellet spread and all that, which they're going to continue to do into next season. So Zealot's Reward, this is obviously the void version of Scatter Signal. So this would be perfect on soloing Locust. Well, soloing or in a fire team. It's just, yeah, just thinking out loud. Also, Subjugators. If anything that has a shield because of photo inhibition, deals bonus damage to shields. So yeah, I'm super excited to actually use this in something versus something and make some content out of it. Do I have a memento on it? I think if anything deserves a memento from Garden of Salvation, it would probably be this weapon. Because outside of the bow, this is the only other weapon that I was very excited about. Wait, I gotta see what... oh, yeah. And so here's the other thing about mementos. Why do you have to be level 30 to even use the damn shader? Because that's still a thing, isn't it? Like, I own this. Weapon requires weapon level 30. That is ridiculous. Like, I feel like the mementos, it's like they really just try to manipulate you into like, oh, here's a, it's like a carrot on a stick, but it's always stuck to the stick. Demo Withering Gaze. Well, that's what I'm. Yeah, I'm actually, I should look it up. What are the rolls again? Because I can't remember the god roll that I was going for. Repulsor Brace and Withering Gaze is definitely going to be a keeper because that's like one shot kill equals Void Overshield, right? So it's going to be like a repulsor destabilizing rounds type of effect for survivability. Why would I ever use an adaptive frame fusion rifle for survivability? Don't really know. But like I was already explaining, how I sometimes rely on Lost Signal with Unrelenting to kill the during Solo Puppeteer to kill the puppets, right? Because it's a yellow bar, so it's a guaranteed heal with Unrelenting, right? So, I mean, technically, a fusion rifle would do a better job at killing yellow bars faster than Lost Signal, right? And then, so if I had Repulsor Brace and Withering Gaze, then I would essentially get the same thing, but I'd have a Void Overshield instead of healing. So I'm definitely going to be keeping that when I do get it. If I get it. Just assuming I will. Demo Withering Gaze, like you're saying, Jay Dizzle. That sounds like a good roll to me. But obviously, like this demo chain reaction, like if I really wanted to play into demo and generating grenade energy, then this is the combo to keep. It's just, again, then it's more for ad clear. And why would I use an adaptive frame fusion rifle for ad clear ever? I would never do that. It would purely be for taking out tanky targets.
The Void hand cannon is going to be amazing after destabilizing rounds buff, and if we have Void in the artifact next seas.
Yeah, well, I think you were hanging out here when I deleted my Ancient Gospel. I'm missing still 3 patterns for, I think 3 weapons from Garden of Salvation. The hand cannon, the pulse rifle, and one other weapon. I can't remember what it is. But, yeah, I just don't have the spoils to put deep sight harmonizers on them anymore. But yeah, that's going to be, it's definitely destabilize rounds. I'm looking forward to it. So what else does Gravitic Arrest roll with that's worth keeping? So first on the list is Repulsor Brace and Withering Gaze. Second on the list would be, like, I mean, Demo Chain Reaction, but like I just said, I would never actually use it. I wouldn't do it. If it was a rapid fire frame, I probably still wouldn't ad clear with it. Like, I just don't ever ad clear with fusion rifles, period. So why would I? Why? It's just looking at it, it just looks so good. Unrelenting and Withering Gaze, that could be a nice little. This would provide the exact same effect that Repulsor Brace and Withering Gaze does. So theoretically works exactly the same. It's just you're just getting health instead of Void Overshield, right? So there's no build synergy there. It's just a different type of healing. So I think Unrelenting and Withering Gaze is a keeper. And then all the other perks, like looking at the damage perks on this, it's Withering Gaze, right? Via debuff, and which is a very good damage perk, because not only does it work on the fusion, but it also works on anything that you swap to, abilities, other weapons, just a debuff. Closing Time, that's not a damage buff. Chain Reaction, that's an ad clear perk. What's this footstep one? Kickstart, that sounds like PvP. Successful Warm-Up, ad clear. Fragile Focus, PvP, right? So, I mean, this could be nice at killing the shades in Galron. Like if I was soloing Galron.
Did you spend your bento tokens on?
I don't have any. I haven't even figured out how to get bento tokens yet. But I heard that you can get Cloud Strike, and that's the only thing that I would get, because there's like 2 exotics that I don't have in the game. It's the one from it's Vex Mythoclast and Cloud Strike. That's it. Because like I said, I started playing when Witch Queen came out, so yeah, farming Empire hunts was never really a thing. Even though I've unlocked Master Empire hunts. I've done a few, but I just haven't got it, and I'm not interested. Yeah, I have all the weapons. I have all the game. Like I've played everything that there is to do in the game at this point. It's just like I haven't
Okay.
farmed the old stuff. Basically, like I've only farmed like stuff that I was current while I was playing. Especially being a solo player too. Like if I played with like my family or friends or whatever, then I would probably, you know, I wouldn't be like restricted to whatever's current because I mostly rely on LFG uh, if I have to do anything in a fire team. It's LFG or fire team finder, right? So it's like that's just more about what are people playing. I'd be surprised if I put up an farming master empires hunt post. I'd be surprised if anybody joined. Maybe somebody would join within the hour. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, I heard that you can just get Cloud Strike right now for bento tokens, so I will look into that. Do you have until the end of the season, like until February 4th or whatever, to figure out these bento tokens and use them? Because I've just planned on cleaning my vault and then getting straight into soloing Vesper's Host and do that until it's done, because it's the only thing I need for Paragon to upkeep my 11. End of season? All right, cool. Yeah, I'll look into it for sure. Other than that, like I guess you need to spend them on the shader, because I do want the shader because I don't have an all white shader. Like I got super black. But if I have to run around doing lost sectors or like doing stuff that's not Vesper's Host, then I'll probably go without. Well, I'll probably go without any tokens. Like if I can't just earn them passively. Unless I solo Vesper's Host like tomorrow, and then I still have the whole end of the season to figure other stuff out.
It's so as not even fully white, it's more like the Vogue shader you get from D2.
Oh, really?
I'm mad they didn't put Trials Memento for Bento XD.
Yeah, the I don't know what's up with the quality there, like with the loot. I'm happy about Super Black, that's for sure. I mean, Super Black is really good on, especially on some fashion, like because you get some stuff that like glows through the Super Black. It looks friggin' sick. But that was also like that whole Into the Light expansion, or whatever you want to call it, that whole expansion was probably the best. If it was a season, it would be the best season since I've been playing, since Witch Queen. Onslaught, Super Black, 12 weapons, RNG based farming can then be enhanced and masterworked. The armor was kind of not great, but the weapons and the activity and the shader, very, very good. So I was kind of curious with these bento tokens, because it doesn't sound like, it sounded to me like it was just going to be kind of some free way to get it. Like there's no like specific activity tied to it, or it's not like it's Into the Light, right? So maybe they just didn't put in the same quality or reward that they did with Into the Light, because it's a little easier to get. But that's unfortunate, because I still don't have an all-white shader. But fusion rifles. So, yeah, do I delete demo chain reaction or not? I don't know. It's recent loot, so how about I give it until Heresy, when we start getting new dungeon loot, and then I'll revisit it and just leave myself with like 1 or 2 rolls or whatever. And only if I actually intend to masterwork it, because if I'm just going to let it sit there like that and not masterwork it, then I must not really care about it that much. The Snorri, by the way, the Snorri was like specific to soloing Galron again. Actually, it's funny because whenever I think of oh yeah, and Pantheon, I keep forgetting about that too.
I would keep fusions are not too bad for had clear bolts can go through enemies and hit multiple targets.
Yeah, especially with like Reservoir Burst too. Yeah, maybe I'm overlooking it. I'd have to give it a I'd have to give it a fair play, fair test play, basically. Like in comparison to just opting to use rocket sidearms or waveframe GLs. Maybe some of the rapid fires that have like reservoir burst, I should be testing. Why is Dim not transferring Snorri back over? Like, I am faster than Dim.
No.
Snorri. This roll took me forever to get. It took me forever. And even though this is like supposedly a really bad frame, it's super good with a charge time, masterwork, accelerated coils. Just shoot, reload, shoot. Like that's all you do with it, right? Never dump ammo, just shoot, reload with compulsive reloader. Every shot's reservoir burst. So I used it specifically to solo Galron, like I think for a video even. Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those rolls that was like, well, that's what I used it for, and that was it. So that's like when I'm thinking about the demo chain reaction, it's kind of like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about shooting the shades of Galron with demo chain reaction. But like, yeah, is it worth taking up my vault for that potential? Okay, I got 2 scatter signals. And then I'll bring over all the Strand fusion rifles. Slice controlled burst, overflow controlled burst, envious assassin controlled burst. So yeah, I'm not getting rid of any of those. Slice controlled burst, definitely my favorite. Overflow controlled burst, I never find myself shooting more than 3 or 4 shots with this thing, even with controlled burst, before swapping to another weapon to shoot a different weapon and then swapping back, right? And that defeats the whole purpose of controlled burst. So I think even though overflow controlled burst is the meta pick according to a lot of people, right? And theoretically it is if you're literally just dumping all your ammo, right? But you're never doing that. That's the thing. Unless you're tractor cannon shooting Crota, then you're not using this roll, basically, is what I'm saying. Glacioclasm? Oh, that's from no, I don't. That's a Dawning one. And it's one of those ones where I didn't like the look of it, but that's a high impact, isn't it? Because essentially that's what the Nox Perennial is. Bye. Love you. Nox Perennial, yeah. So yeah, can't you basically get the exact same roll on Glacioclasm? Okay, yeah, and I mean overflow, yeah, like between controlled burst and reservoir burst, like you can't go wrong with either, basically. I mean, the differences are so marginal that it doesn't really matter because reservoir burst is doesn't rely on sustained damage where controlled burst does. For example, even though I think technically you can squeeze out a little bit more damage with controlled burst, but there's that whatchamacallit, there's the drawback of actually having to dump all your ammo, right? You can't take a break. You can't swap weapons, right? So if you're doing like Dragon's Breath, fusion rifle, and swapping between the two, then you're better off forgetting about overflow, essentially. Unless you just like the convenience of not having to reload, but you're going to lose the buff to controlled burst every time you have to swap back and forth to it, right? So if you shoot 3 shots, you're getting 2 controlled burst shots every time. Like, and then you swap back, you get 2, right? So this is for, I don't know, I'm not like a speedrunner or anything like that, so like I'm sure there's probably some some niche situations versus some bosses with some specific damage rotations and a specific loadout where overflow controlled burst is 100% the optimal choice over something like slice and controlled burst. But if you're like, for me, as somebody that likes to solo stuff and make videos about it, and like soloing Locust, which I think is where I used this, 40% damage resistance from the boss that was trying to kill me during a solo flawless, to me was way more valuable, right? Plus now, that was pre-prismatic. Now with prismatic, Slice is also giving you a dark debuff to proc Facet of Courage to do 10% more damage with your light abilities. So, I mean, super, like, for the 40% damage resistance, I mean, if you're just 1v1ing a very tanky target like a boss, that's like having Woven Mail, and it stacks with Woven Mail. So, Slice is so good. Exact same reason why I have it on the call on an optional roll. And then Nox Perennial 5, Envious Assassin Controlled Burst, right? So this would be for the purpose of, like, Overflow Controlled Burst, right? But I think it was, this came out right before Scatter Signal, right? Yeah, this came out during the, well, it was the season of the Witch, right? That's what that logo is, that symbol. So when it came out, it was basically the first strand fusion rifle, so it was the best, and high impacts at that time were essentially the best anyways for total damage or sustained damage or whatever. But then the next season we got a rapid fire frame strand fusion with the same perks, essentially. So this one is now better. But I think, well, it's better DPS, but this one's better on total damage. That's my understanding anyways, so that's the only reason why I've kept this Nox Perennial 5. Maybe for min-maxing my damage on Crota or something else, right? I'm sure other people have other ideas of where they can use that. But yeah, and then there's Riptide, and I heard you can get a God Roll Riptide right now, right? From the bento tokens, since you guys mentioned that, you'd probably know. Well, I'll just look at my stasis fusion rifles real quick then. Move to Titan. Isn't there like one or two fusion rifles from Trials as well? But yeah, so I've had Riptides before, but then I got really mad at PvP and I deleted all my PvP weapons like a snob, right? Even though it was during the era like Ghosts of the Deep, Duality, when essentially Chill Clip, Riptide, Lament was like one of the meta solo loadout options. And then I deleted it, and then I basically just stopped using stasis fusion rifles entirely, right? So then when I farmed Iron Banner last 4 weeks ago, I actually decided to revert my decision and farm up some Riptides, so I got this one. The bento one has compulsive reloader and chill clip. Yeah, and so the funny thing, well, I'm farming for auto loading and chill clip. Well, I'm not farming for it. I just used every single Crucible engram that I got while I was doing Iron Banner 4 weeks ago to farm Tenacious, and I spent them on Riptides. So overall, I probably bought, and then it's 3 Crucible engrams to buy one of these. So I didn't get that many, but I probably got a good 12 to 15, and I never got, even with 3 prestiges from Shaxx, like 2-3 resets. So potentially I think I can get 5 perks. All of those, all I got, this was the best roll I got. But I want auto loading and chill clip. And yeah, so I heard you can get it, Giovanni. Chill clip and
auto-loading chill clip on Riptide.
Yeah.
Bento tokens get you compulsive reloader chill clip.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I kind of laughed when I heard that, because that's the best roll that I got out of my out of all my Crucible engrams.
Enhance Riptide.
No, what? Wait. Yeah, see, now I'm regretting enhancing whatever that weapon was. I enhanced a primary while I was going through filtering this stuff. And I was saying to myself that I was probably going to regret it when I started getting into some of the specials and heavies, but I might still have enough alloys to enhance this. But I probably shouldn't because I do... Well, I should, but I want auto-loading really bad. It's just I'm probably not going to get a Crucible engram again, ever. I don't know, unless they release something in Iron Banner again that's really good, because I actually didn't mind doing Iron Banner 4 weeks ago. But it's a farm. Like, you literally have to dedicate yourself to that one activity for the entire week or whenever it's available. And I don't necessarily like to prioritize doing that. Like, sometimes there's other stuff I'd rather do in the game. Like, I want to get my Paragon done so I can maintain it into Heresy, for example. And I want the Soul of Flawless emblem from Vespers. Yeah, I agree. Like, if it's not the one I want ultimately, then it's already masterworked anyways. Like it's really just an OCD thing for me. Like, if I don't see the gold frame around a weapon, I'm not going to use it. Unless I'm, like, testing it. I mean, generally. Like, sometimes I will use it. Like, if it's the role that I know that I'm going to want to enhance, I'll use it if I can't afford to do it. But as soon as I get the resources to masterwork it, I'm doing it. I don't even care if it's, like, if the enhanced perk has no extra benefit.
Iron Banner 13 times and still couldn't get a good range roll of over kinetic tremors SMG.
Good range roll? Is that the one? I hope that's not the one that I got for your sake, because I only reset 4 times. I can't tell. Well, I got... Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's got good range. No, fluted. I mean, Arrowhead's nice for the accuracy, right? But I guess in PvP you want the range, right? So you can have those more consistent kills at longer range. Yeah, I don't think this has any. Okay, so what's the other... Oh, I have an auto-loading Vorpal Riptide as well. So yet again, it's another... Well, I mean, that's not subpar at all, actually. Why isn't it on my Titan? I said move over to Titan. Yeah, so I got this one while I was farming as well. So close. Accelerated. Charge time. I think that's redundant, though, because, like, I noticed you can't get lower charge time at a specific point, and then, like, stacking the accelerated coils with charge time, like, sometimes it actually doesn't do anything. But this is a really good roll. I mean, 15% damage is like frenzy. I mean, that's like as good as... You could argue that's better than controlled burst because it works on every single shot. And especially if you're swapping between weapons at the same time with auto-loading holster. Like, this would be a better boss melter than scatter signal with controlled burst. Like, if you're swapping between weapons, like shooting a rocket launcher and then just using this to supplement, then Vorpal is going to be better because it's going to be 15% on every shot versus 20% on, say, every 3 shots, right? Because you have to reproc the perk. What else do I have? I have a lot of arc fusion. Why do we have so many arc fusion rifles? 55 range. I do know, though, if you do want to know anything about fusion rifles, it's Lego LaFlash that you gotta watch. I do know that because I've seen those thumbnails. They just, like, they're so simple, but they just pop out, and then the quality of the content is like, wow. I didn't even know that I wanted to know this much stuff about fusion rifles until now. Not that I do know that much at all. Like, I don't know anything about fusion rifles, but if I can speak to any kind of
they put 2 arc fusions from Nightfalls and nothing for the other elements.
Yeah, plug one in loaded question, right? So, yeah, and I had a lot of these that I deleted. I did something with pulse grenades on Touch of Thunder pulse grenades with demo and control burst. This was a nice little damage rotation. That was when I think fusions were... when was it? Anyways, but either perk combination here with... But you still can't enhance that either, right? Another adept nightfall weapon you can't enhance. But yeah, thanks for whoever told me about chill clip or enhancing Riptide. Thank you. Like I would have completely missed that. I think because I read the TWABs, but sometimes I don't read them all the way, or I just forget stuff. Yeah, Jay Dizzle, I agree. That's why I haven't gotten rid of it. Like ultimately, I'd like the chill clip for every single purpose, but yeah, I may as well keep that for now.
When it comes back in rotation, I think.
I've always been hoping that they would do like something with Cartesian that they did with some of the older weapons, kind of like give it an origin trait all of a sudden, switch up its perk pool, or give it, don't get rid of the former god roll, but maybe add a little bit of other things to it. I was hoping that they would do that with Cartesian, because I don't have one, because that came out yet again before my era, which was Witch Queen. But yeah, so for arc fusion rifles, holy cow. Iterative loop, looking at all of these, is still just automatically my favorite, because it's a rapid fire frame. It was basically meta for like an entire season. And I still like using it. Like it's still really good in Galron.
Masterwork and arrowhead break on all my fusions.
Accelerated charge time. Yeah, Jesus, I think that's exactly what I've come to realize as well. Like not knowing a whole lot about fusion rifles, just like tweaking around with them and trying to get a good charge time and a good pellet spread. Like from Arrowhead, for example. Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference, especially like with controlled burst, where you're expected to land all of your bolts, right, to actually get the proc, because you can't just like tag an enemy with a couple of bolts, right? If your accuracy is not 100%, then controlled burst ain't working for you. So it makes sense to build it out like the way you're building it out. Not only up in the damage and the charge time, but the accuracy as well, essentially.
I learned by buying the Bento one and then checking mine and realized I can just enhance mine. Deleted the new one immediately. Lol.
Yeah, the only thing that I have left to figure out about fusion rifles is how they stack the battery charge times with the masterwork and any other variables that affect charge time, because when you're just looking at the weapon through the game screen and you look at the value of the charge time, sometimes it just doesn't change, like despite stacking charge time benefits on there. It's just not doing anything past like say a masterwork charge time. So like I don't understand how that works. Like, am I just wasting perks to try and max out charge time, but it's not doing anything? In which case I should have gone with something else, for example, like more damage or... But yeah, so my OG plug one, so my first solo flawless ever, which was duality, I was using this weapon for I think 60% of the dungeon. This and forbearance with unrelenting, but this was for the shades at Galron. Compulsive reservoir burst. Charge time doesn't decrease impact damage, while accelerated coils does. Okay, so you're always better with the charge time masterwork. If you're trying to min-max your charge time to as low as possible, you always want to prioritize masterwork then. Is essentially the way I'm reading that. Okay, that's good to know. And it seems like the charge time Masterwork does give it the most amount of charge time decrease. It's only 2% difference? Okay.
If I can get an extra wild shot and then I make up for it.
Right, so it's kind of like the whole spike grenades versus implosion rounds versus like whatever it is for GLs, where you're talking extremely, an impact casing for rocket launchers. Very, very minute differences. But yeah, like now that you mention it, like now I know, now I'm only going to be happy once, if I actually get a roll where all of that is considered. So the recent plug one, right? So I've got the old plug one, which is from my first solo flawless. I don't know why it says 2 enemies defeated. Maybe I had a different roll, but it was plug one for sure. Anyways, compulsive reservoir burst, just very kind of vanilla. I mean, it's not a good frame really for anything other than the Shades of Galron that I know of. So this one would be similar, but now you can slide and consecrate and slide and consecrate and reservoir burst. So this could be pretty fun on any slidey builds. Lightning Surge on Warlock. So I did decide to enhance it, even though I didn't farm for this. I just did a couple Nightfalls that week to progress my Conqueror seal, or my gilding, I should say. And I ended up getting this, and I checked it on dim, and I was like, yeah, you know what? That's probably the roll that I would stick with anyways, so I may as well just enhance it. Because what does it roll with now? It rolls with Reconstruction Controlled Burst, right? So that would be a keeper for sure. Or Reservoir Burst, but I mean, since I already have a Reservoir Burst roll, if I got a Reconstruction Controlled Burst, I'd keep it. Just because, what else are you going to use? I guess Loaded Question. If you're going to use Controlled Burst, you'd probably be better using Loaded Question, even though you can't enhance it. I don't know. But it's a high impact frame, so more total damage. I think more DPS than a high impact, or than a precision, right? So precisions are really good for like orange bars and yellow bars. That's basically the way I look at it. There's lots of situations where you have a key enemy, like a VIP type of enemy that progresses some kind of mechanic in a dungeon or a raid, and it's an enemy that you want to just annihilate immediately, and you need something like a fusion rifle or a shotgun.
Arc fusion.
Yeah, so from, you mean Midas Reckoning? I crafted this thing for just the whole surrounded synergy. I mean, you get, I don't even know if Cornered's like the best perk for it, but in that column. But I did use this a few times on Crota, right? So I was using like Bequest, right? And doubling up triple arc surges with Midas, simply because you have surrounded on Bequest already, right? Which means that if you're proccing it on Bequest, then you're also proccing it on Midas Reckoning, and if you run out of ammo, you can burst down Crota with the best frame fusion rifle for total damage in the game. And at that time, during Crota, it was the best DPS option as well. It was just simply because there was no like arc fusions that were rapid fires that had controlled burst at that time. Or wait, what? Didn't we have Techian Force, right? I think I deleted Techian Force simply because I never fully masterworked it, even though I have it crafted. But you get Reconstruction and Controlled Burst on Techian, right? From Last Wish. That is a role that I intended to follow through on, but I don't know. I went through some kind of ruthless like vault cleaning, and I ended up just deleting it. Right? I could just go back and craft it again. I mean, it is 35 cores, but I also didn't talk about Deliverance in the stasis set, but I deleted my crafted one because my crafted one had compulsive chill clip, um, and I ended up getting this adept. I think this is the only adept that I have from that I've kept from Vow of the Disciple, and it's basically got all 4 perks that I was interested in. With fluted, which I always love fluted, even though I guess Arrowhead would be better. Reload, Masterwork, accelerated, so yeah, pretty good synergy with compulsive. What other fusions do I have? I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so I got rid of nothing, so that's always good. So I still have 18 fusion rifles.
Damn nice adept Deliverance. I have rewind controlled in my Teshin. You think return is better?
Well, no, rewind would definitely be better now, right? Because reconstruction got nerfed. Yeah, J Dizzle, I was wondering if that's what you were thinking of as well. But we got arc fusions from both of them, so you weren't wrong.
22% grenade energy when enhanced on fusion rifles, glaives, shotguns, and snipers. So definitely try the Gravitic.
Yeah, I agree. Demo is pretty juicy on a lot of specials. I'm a big fan. That and machine guns. Even though machine guns is 10%, right? I think it's 10%. It's not, I think it's the same as primaries for machine guns, but you kill so many enemies so fast with machine guns. It's like it makes like you still get way more grenade energy from demo on a machine gun than you do on basically any special. Nice on glaives too, by the way. I can't remember if you said that, Joshua. Thanks for that comment and pointing that out. Right, because I know a lot of people probably don't realize that it's like 10% on primaries, 20% on most specials, except for wave frames, just because wave frames are so spammable. I think rocket sidearms are also the lower value. But yeah, you did point out glaives. So I put demo on the most recent void craftable glaive from Salvations. I put demo chain reaction, and I was shocked at how much grenade energy I was getting. And mind you, I was playing overthrow, right? So I mean, I was one-shotting everything, but it's you one-shot a group of ads in overthrow with a glaive. You kill the ad immediately for 20% grenade energy. Then the chain reaction goes off and kills 3 other enemies, and you have 80% of your grenade back. It's really good. You kept your Consecration Titan. For some reason, like half of the comment is cut off when I'm looking at it on my phone. I should be looking at it on my browser, but I'm looking at dim. You kept exactly. I kept for my Consecration Titan demo chain reaction with Lost Signal Anarchy. Gotcha. Yeah, I was a little. It's too bad that they nerfed it so hard, but I guess it mostly just affects like rocket launchers, right? Just because you're more reliant on reconstruction on rocket launchers than you are on other weapons, I guess you could say. Because if you have to reload a rocket, then there's literally no point in having reconstruction. Like if you can only reload, if you're gonna dump all of your rockets in one damage phase. Reconstruction, what that's going to do for you is maybe save you 1 reload, right? Maybe 2. But I imagine if you're just dumping all your reserves, you would not get more than 2 free reloads. Now, like it used to be a lot better. Trying to get back to my dim now. Sniper rifles are next. So I'm like halfway through all of the weapons. That's good. Except I have 27 sniper rifles. So if you guys don't mind, give me 1 minute. I need to top up my coffee and my water, and I'll be right back in like less than a minute. All right. Sorry, that took a little bit longer than a minute, but sometimes you got some funky smells to track down in a household full of humans and animals. Just checking my son's stream as well real quick. I think he just ended. Yeah, so he's all done. Okay, so where was I at? I'm going through sniper rifles next, I think. Wait. Okay. Frickin' technology is just confusing me. So, sniper rifles, Albruna D, Supremacy, Succession, Defiance of Yasmin Herald, Succession, Ikelos, 2 Azumis, none of them masterworked. So far, everything else that I've said listed is masterworked with enhanced perks. Geez, Azumis. I just have such a hard time getting excited about adaptive frames. And what's up with the green and gold skin style? Like everything now is green and gold, whether it's an adept from a Nightfall or from Salvation's Edge, or like who at Bungie is like colorblind or something? Because I'm colorblind, and well, I don't know. Like I don't know who's colorblind. Like looking at these, I can't even tell. It's like, I don't know, like mustard and pickles. Like it just doesn't suit the whole adept vanity skin in a space shooter. So I hope that we get like a change or a reversion kind of to black and gold, maybe. I feel like the black and gold was a pretty good, like Warden's Law, like my OG Warden's Law is the black and gold one. Right, and now the new one is mustard and pickles. So there's that as well about Azumi, right? It reminds me of mustard and pickles, and it's an adaptive frame. And I'm on console, and I suck at sniping typically because like I'm already pretty bad about tunnel vision, and then you stick me through a scope. Yeah, I just I don't get it. It's like of all the effort that they put into mustard and pickles, if they just took that energy and put it into a shiny skin for the double perk drops that you get from Onslaught Salvation, then maybe people wouldn't have quit the game or been so upset about that. I mean, it would be one small thing, I think.
I only kept using with lead from Gold Vorpal.
Clown cartridge, yeah. Lead from Gold Vorpal. Yeah, I think you can't really go wrong with Vorpal, right? I mean, if I do, like, if it, I mean, essentially the only reason I'm keeping it is if adaptives get a shift, like if they get a buff, or if rapid fires get a nerf, and then this is the better option. But even as it is, adaptive frames are okay in GMs for breaking barriers and taking care of champions, right? Like, I mean, adaptives are fine for that. Whereas if you're talking like bosses, then yeah, it is. And it's already like, I don't like the model of the weapon either for the Azumi. I don't like the look of a lot of the Omelon weapons, like the Yaravit versus prolonged engagement. Like, I'd rather have the prolonged engagement because it looks cooler, sounds cooler. And then clown explosive payload, right? And I could do the infinite ammo thing. There's like some meme about Discord. I don't know. I think I saw one of Llama's videos, and it was like he was discussing. I don't know if he figured it out himself, but he was talking about this whole Discord combination with another perk where you could just totally have infinite ammo and never have to reload or something like that. So whenever I see Discord, I think of like, is that going to be some kind of meme-worthy perk to use in any kind of scenario? But Clown and Explosive Payload would just be an all-around very good utility sniper rifle, especially in GMs. If we get like barrier snipers, this would be super good. Just generally good gun, nothing super fancy, just infinite range, explosive. You get that explosive AOE. You can stagger champs around corners. Right, if you're on a console like me and you don't have the best accuracy, or if you get flinched out of aim assist, right? Well, you have instead you have a freaking explosion, right? Like explosive payload is so noob friendly. Like if you're in your 40s gaming, then yeah, I mean explosive payload is pretty good, especially if you're on like low input lag. If you're sitting on your couch on like looking at a big screen TV or whatever, and you have like a 3 or 4 millisecond delay on like 60 FPS. Well, I guess Destiny's always on 60 FPS on console, but well, 120 in Crucible if you have 120 hertz on your TV, which I do on the main one that I game on. But even still, like a TV is going to have like 2-3 times the input lag that a monitor does and a PC. So that's the only reason. That's where I'm coming from with explosive payload, and just being an older, kind of more washed out gamer. So what other snipers do I even have? Well, I got 2 more. Oh, geez, I got 3 more solar snipers. So bring those over. Okay, so Lunar Regolith, probably my favorite frame all around, like for utility sniper options, right? Like if I just wanted to use it to do like a Nightfall or something, take out the occasional red bar from range, take out the occasional like sniper orange bar, maybe shoot some champs, then I like aggressive frame. Adaptive wouldn't be bad in that situation either, but this was like 5 perks, so triple tap precision, right? If I want to melt a champion or damage a boss, if aggressive ever was in a position to be doing, I guess, popping Nezarek's shoulders, right? This would be pretty good there. Well, I mean, precision instrument wouldn't proc, so never mind. Triple tap. But for other boss scenarios, I guess more for champs, this would be pretty decent, right? And then for ad clear, if there was ever a reason to ever add clear with a sniper rifle, which I don't think there is. But it also has Vanguard's Vindication and wild cards, so like I guess I might be enticed to use it in a GM or a Nightfall. And it's the only aggressive frame, right? So that's why I haven't deleted it. Omniscient Eye, so this is like the main competitor to Ikelos, right? I think you can have the exact same role on Ikelos. And am I still in the Enclave? I think I am. Equip.
For ad clear, so why a sniper with Discord?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't. Like, I've never even used it. I just... yeah. It should probably get deleted. I mean, like, you just can't delete this weapon just for the sound alone, I think, right? Like, if there was ever a reason to keep, say, 30% of your loot, even if it's just nostalgic, right? Copium or whatever you call it. It would be for a sound like that. But this one sounds pretty cool, too. It's a little more chirpy. See, I feel like I just have to keep them both. Plus photo inhibition, super good. Not too sure why I had high impact reserves on this. To be honest, I think this was like one of those things. At the time when I crafted this, I basically knew nothing about it, and I was just looking to finish out a masterwork. And I saw Salta Greppo using this exact same combo. Whether he was using it for PvP or PvE. He was using it in PvE, but maybe his role was designed for PvP. I literally just copied him. There's like maybe one or two weapons in my entire in my entire inventory where I copied another streamer, and it was Salta Greppo. So yeah, that's why I have this roll on this, and it's pretty good because sometimes I forget to reload my weapon, right? And like I'm not like super mathematical and precise about like my damage rotation, so maybe I'll shoot a rocket or whatever and then swap back to a sniper rifle and shoot like 5, 6 shots or whatever, 3 shots, just some random number of shots, and switch back to my other weapon and switch back to that. High impact just kind of like, I mean, I guess it procced quite often is what I'm trying to say, because I was leaving my mag unreloaded. But otherwise, like, I think you'd be better off with Vorpal 100% because it's always 15% damage versus bosses. So I don't even know why I have high impact on this. Well, I just explained why, because I literally copied somebody that I thought was the best in the game, or one of the best. High impact. It rolls with under over focused fury. Oh right, so that's the alternative is focused fury. If it rolled with Vorpal, I would have 100% gone for Vorpal. It's just now I remember at the time I was debating between high impact and focused fury, right? Because they both essentially don't have 100% uptime. You have to get focused fury to proc, and it's pretty unforgiving. You can't miss, right? So by the time you actually get it to proc, it's like you're only getting that damage buff for some of the time, right? At least with high impact reserves, I get it some of the time, but guaranteed when I'm at the bottom of my mag. Whereas Focus Fury, you kind of have to be dedicated to getting it going and staying on it, right? It's not like swap friendly like high impact reserves is. And then yeah. So there was that logic as well. I just forgot about it, I think. But overall, I'd still rather have this thing going. But I just can't delete Ikelos, like for the sound. It sounds way too good to give up. So yeah, I have 5 solar snipers. It's too many. If anything is gonna go, it's gonna be Azumi. But I'm gonna see. I'm just gonna go to the next weapons section, I think. Oh no, I still have a lot of sniper rifles to get through. Holy crap, I have like 7 or 8 Valletta Fs. Okay. I'm probably gonna get off in the next 30 to 45 minutes, so I'm gonna try and get through sniper rifles probably. And then maybe shotguns, and that's gonna be it. And then I might do one more stream like this where I'm just cleaning out my vault, and then it's gonna be all solo Vespers host, right? Just to maintain rank 11 Paragon, and if not, get the solo flawless, right? Because that's the end game goal for me, is to get the emblem, but that doesn't need to happen before the season ends. The only thing that does need to happen for me is just completing the solo in one sitting, right? Because I've soloed the entire dungeon at this point, but I've had to go back to orbit, take breaks. So I don't get the accomplishment until I do it with the staying power to, just get it done in one session. But sometimes when I try to do that stuff, my vault gets filled up, Raoul gets filled up, Postmaster gets filled up with all the crap that I hadn't collected while I was trying to do the solo. So yeah, I'll just try and get through the snipers. Okay, so we got 5 solar snipers, but I've got 1 arc sniper. And it's from a game mode that I don't even play. So I don't feel great about it because it gives me a bad vibe, because Gambit has been abandoned and not invested in at all. So I don't feel great about this weapon just for that point alone, but this is a freaking wicked gun. Like, this is like Riptide to me. Like, if I had to keep one weapon from each game mode that I don't play just because it's so good.
The trial sniper next season makes Wrigglyth obsolete.
Oh, see, but the thing is, I don't play trials. But I agree with you. I need to get rid of at least 3. There's no reason to keep 5 solar snipers. And the 3 that you listed, I like the least out of all of them. So I think you're 100% right. Um, yeah. Okay, so but this Albruna D with Hack A, kind of nice. Clown Frenzy. Basically, I've used this on like if I'm stacking surges with say Storm Chaser. Not that not that that's meta anymore by any means, but it was still like competing well enough. Like back when in Warlord's Ruin. So, for example, a lot of the times when I was farming it for my weeklies on every character, one of the main builds that I was coming up with on Warlock was I think it was probably Stormcaller with Stag or something like that, and I would just stack. Oh, I swapped to Geomags, right? So I get a nice Geomag Chaos Reach, and then I go into Storm Chaser and Albruna D, right? And so basically, when you're like, if you're soloing Heffen and you're like going around the top section where you don't have access to any other ammo, you run out of ammo pretty quickly. Like you would run out of Storm Chaser ammo, and then you could basically burn through all of Albruna D. So you're essentially like you're doing a lot of total damage because you're not ever having to switch over to like a primary or cut your damage phase short. And being this is like one of the only arc snipers, I guess there's the one from the event, the frickin' Power Rangers one. That one sounds cool too.
For that sniper is better clown or 4th time or explosive payload for 3rd column.
Which sniper, Giovanni? Are you talking about the Azumi still, or this thing? I did have explosive payload on this, by the way. Yeah, it is. Actually, my more used one was Clown explosive payload, which I really liked. But I thought Frenzy would be even better because it's like as long as I can land my crits, then if you can land your crits consistently, then Frenzy's going to be better, I think, than explosive payload. Plus, you're getting max reload, plus Clown, so you could really dump a lot of ammo pretty quickly with Clown and Frenzy.
It can get payload in 3rd column.
Yeah, if I had to keep one of these Azumis, I'd probably get rid of the 4th times Vorpal, because I can just use a rapid fire, right?
So payload with Frenzy / Vorpal / firing line.
There. Deleted one Azumi right away. So, and then the other 2 are on the chopping block. How about? Only because they're different frames, so that's my only hold up there. Is they're the only non-rapid fire solar sniper rifles that I'll have. An aggressive and an adaptive, and then I'm left with 2 rapid fires. Yeah, but so that the Albruna D, there is the Amalon one that you can get as well, but that's an adaptive, so I prefer Albruna D. But if you don't have one because you don't play Gambit, I don't blame you. Kinetic snipers, I have a good assortment of kinetic. Move to Titan. That's probably going.
Explosive payload is only a 5% damage increase on sniper rifle headshots if I'm not mistaken. Triple tap is way better than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the benefit to explosive payload is just the unlimited damage range, but it's more like if you're not accurate with your sniper rifle. So if you're not a very good shot, right? Like if you're modest enough to be honest about it, like if you're not really good at landing your crits, then, explosive payload's pretty good for you. I kind of already made that argument that's why I'm holding on to explosive payload in certain situations. Plus, when you get like champion snipers, right? Like if they're in the artifact for like barriers or whatever, or overloads or anything really, you can stun champions around corners from the AoE. But but yeah, like for dungeon and raid bosses, yeah, I'm going with that rapid fire fourth times triple tap ammo, total ammo, and damage perks for precision, right? And then if I miss, then that's on me, right? But I shouldn't be missing because like if it's a precision based boss, it's generally doable even for casual console players or older gamers like myself that have like you know worse reaction time and precision and dexterity. But did my kinetics transfer? Yeah, they did. So, I mean, supremacy is a no-brainer. I'm definitely not getting rid of that. Um, you guys have to let me know. What'd you put on yours? Rewind kinetic or rewind? Is it fourth times? I'm assuming most people have this roll just because it's if you do have it, I should say, just because of the two-shot capability there to proc tremors. Really good in damage rotations. Really good when it's barriers. When we have barrier sniper, just super good all around. Even just for dumping your ammo. Rewind and oh yeah, okay. And I guess too, like if you're in a raid, because I'm kind of speaking from a solo perspective. Kinetic tremors doesn't stack in a fire team, right? Like if everybody's using supremacy with kinetic tremors, you're like it's going to be like Wither Horde. Like you can't have more than one person using that damage type because the values will just get overwritten. I think that's my understanding of kinetic tremors. So yeah, this is like the solo roll, right? I guess if you're big into raiding and stuff like that and damage rotations, you'd probably have both. And then like my OG succession, well, not so OG because I got it crafted from Deepstone. Like only when they added red borders to Deepstone, and then that was the only time where I was like, oh, I guess I gotta go do that raid and learn that raid because that came out in Beyond Light, which I missed. So like from my understanding, they totally reworked the perk pool on it. So I don't know. This is the one that I got when red borders became available from Deepstone, and it's super good. I mostly just use it for, well, anytime a sniper is required, shooting the bell in duality, barrier snipers, but also one of my favorite places to use snipers is for taking aggro in Nezarec, just because it's a one shot being an aggressive frame, and Succession is just such a cool sniper rifle. Like if there's ever an excuse to use it, those would be the situations like one shotting things. That's what aggressive frames are better for as opposed to the rapid fires. That's kind of the only reason why I guess as well that I would hold on to Lunar Regolith is just because I know situationally like the aggressive frame just has that impact damage to one shot things compared to rapid fires, which more better for sustained fire.
Tactical plus backup mag is 4, so you need appended or extended it, say, so you get 5.
On
On aggressives.
oh, on aggressives. Okay, I thought you were talking about supremacy. Yeah, what do I have on this? See, yeah, I got 4. Um, but with reconstruction, does it really matter? I guess if you're dumping ammo, it would make a difference. Um, so I should have extended mag to get that. Extended and backup would get me 5. Wait, tactical plus backup, you said, is 4. Okay, yeah. So appended or extended. Yeah, I've got tactical. I guess that was kind of a noob choice. But what other snipers? So I'm not getting rid of succession. Then we got the into the light succession, and I've got a shiny, which like you can't even tell that this for some reason the succession models don't really show a shiny, like in the icon, like compared to like Edge Transit where the whole thing is gold. Like there's no gold visible on succession unless you go and look at it. But I do have recombination, so I mean that's always good. And then even though box breathing's been nerfed in a lot of different ways from my understanding, it is still an automatic 30% damage buff on every shot that you spend time looking down sight. So like again for one-shotting Nezarek's shoulders, you just a free 30% buff on essentially every shot. And then recombination would also be really good, I guess. But like, why would I use this over reconstruction Vorpal when that already does all those things anyways? Like, it already one-shots Nezarek's shoulders. So why do I need no distractions and box breathing? There's literally no point in holding on to this thing, I think. I guess it would maybe be for recombination. Like, I'm about to delete this. Stability, I don't even have extended or appended. Yeah, I mean, I think I should just delete that. And then Defiance of Yasmin from King's Fall. I mean, that's just a decent adaptive, but it's such a cool looking weapon. Great icon, great raid, great looking sniper rifle. It looks good in game too. Like the sight on this thing. Like if I just wanted to run around doing patrols, or if I ever had like decided to do bounties, like sniper bounties. I don't do bounties, but like if I was somebody that did, I would probably pull something out like this out of my vault because it would be so fun to use. But that is practically the only situation where it would be usable. Oh, that's such a good roll. Demo and Firefly. I should make a point to stick this in my overthrow loadout when I go to farm overthrow or terminal overload or anything where I just got to go get Glimmer fast or do some basic build crafting testing. Then I could just throw this in there. Just have some fun with it. Because I don't want to get rid of it because it just looks so good. What else? Okay, stasis sniper rifles. So I've got 4 of these as well. I just deleted one of my adept critical anomalies. But I mean, this thing has like the Mimi roll here where I guess you would never have to reload and you'd probably have the most total ammo, right? With rewind and triple tap. But when would you ever do that with an aggressive frame? Is my question. When would you ever do that? In what situations do we use aggressive frame sniper rifles? But the thing is that could totally change. Like the answer to that question could totally change depending on whether or not Bungie ever decides to give aggressive frames, like say a 5% buff, and Rapids get a 2% nerf. Right? Then all of a sudden everything changes in the meta. But it's also pickles and mustard. That's what they did with these potentially beautiful Salvation's Edge weapons. They said, congratulations for getting an adept. Let's dress it up and make it look like something that you can eat. So like in that case, I actually prefer just my crafted one here with explosive and chill clip. This is just my utility sniper that I use in overthrow for breaking barriers, for stunning unstops, for stunning overloads, etc. Probably my favorite non-kinetic sniper rifle in the game. I'd say that and Supremacy are probably my 2 favorite sniper rifles. just for like utility's sake. And then a distant pull, a 20% damage buff that you have to be mindful about playing into, and triple tap. And it's a rapid fire, so I mean it's a good weapon, right? I mean, compared to something like triple tap and Vorpal, it actually does more damage. It's just you have to have a build where you can have like ionic traces constantly being fed to you, right? And then all of a sudden, collective action becomes the superior damage perk to something like Vorpal or Frenzy. Even Focus Fury, because Focus Fury, like, you have to build it up. Like, if you could just start right off the bat having traces being fed to you, this thing's good. Yeah. So keep that for something like Half-End or a Wizard or whatever. Just keep it around. Never know if I'll use it. This is an unfortunate one, just because it's kind of nostalgic to me, because this was the first season where I got seriously playing Destiny 2, Season of the Risen. Land Tank is a very good origin perk, but it's an adaptive frame, right? And now we've had plenty of rapid fire, stasis, snipers, and an aggressive, so this thing has just been completely overshadowed, right? Land Tank isn't even really applicable to sniper rifles anyways when you think about it, because you're not ad clearing with sniper rifles, right? And I don't think that there's any other roles to craft on Thoughtless. Like, even if I wanted to use it in a, say, shooting, well, even if I was shooting champs, I mean, Focus Fury, I guess, would probably still be the best option. If I delete it, then I would have to spend 35 enhancement cores to recraft it. And I don't get anything in return. It does roll headstone. Definitely don't care about ad clearing with sniper rifles. Adagio, again, don't feel like ad clearing. Firing line, right? I mean, that's the alternative to Focus Fury. It's just this gives me the solo option. But firing line definitely a little bit more optimal in a fire team, because it's just an immediate 20% bonus on crit shot, versus Focus Fury takes like half your magazine to get going and then you can't miss, or something like that. It's been so long since I've used it. I mean, so yeah, I could probably just get rid of that, right? I would just be keeping it for nostalgia. And then I don't think there's much purpose in keeping this this thing either. I guess Rewind and Chaos Reshaped. That would be my go-to role on this. 35% damage is not to be... I think that even puts it in the realm where it could compete with rapid fires, maybe. I mean, somebody would have to test that, but 35% buff on an aggressive frame, how does that compare to, say, Vorpal on a rapid fire? That's a curiosity to me. So just for that sake alone, like, I can't just delete that. So I should be deleting Thoughtless, though, just for one vault space, but it's like a 35 core loss and a little bit of nostalgia, just for being one of my first weapons in the entire game, I guess. So I'll come back to that, and if I have to get ruthless with myself, I will delete that. Then I've got I got 3 strand snipers, none that I really care about. Neem's Lance, though, is really good. Actually, you know what? I don't even really care about the strand snipers. I've got Reconstruction, Deconstruct on one, Reconstruction High Ground on the other. So Reconstruction High Ground, Neem's Lance, really good if you're doing some strand damage rotation versus Heffend, for example, for the first 3 damage cycles following Heffend up the map, right? Because you can jump up to a higher point than the boss, so you can have High Ground procced. I guess it also procs on the Witness. From my understanding, High Ground is always procced on the Witness. And is it a 20? What is it now? 20, 25, 30%? What's the damage buff on High Ground? I feel like they keep changing that one. 25%. Okay, so now it also procs when you get kills. Like this is the most confusing perk in the game right now. 20 stacks up to 3 times for a 25% damage buff. Right, okay, so if you get kills, you can build up stacks, kind of like Adrenaline Junkie or whatever, or Desperate Measures. But if you do one thing specifically, then you can get all 3 stacks at once, which is to have actual high ground, right? So if you're above the enemy, you automatically get 3 stacks of high ground. And that's supposedly 25%. Yeah, but this is a great sniper rifle. I feel like this one is slept on too. Like everybody, I know the loot wasn't good from Warlord's Ruin, generally speaking. What was a keeper from Warlord's Ruin? I mean, other than Buried Bloodline, we had Vengeful Whisper. Oh, Indebted Kindness, obviously. I mean, pretty much the best weapon in the game for at least in a season or two, and still competitive in the meta. So it did have that going for it, Indebted Kindness, the original legendary rocket sidearm. But yeah, this thing is good. Like, I really like the way that this thing looks and shoots and sounds. It's kind of got that strand audio to it. But yeah, I mean, this roll I'm keeping because memes. How many shots can you fire without ever having to reload? And is there going to be a vehicle or a construct where I can benefit from the 40% damage buff? Is best in slot? I just wish that bows have been would be in the artifact again soon, because I want to use it. I guess the only thing is whenever I'm using bows, like I'm almost always using explosive payload and shoot to loot. And if I'm using strand, I'm usually using a strand exotic for ad clears. So that's why I want to the bow. What's it called again? Strand bow. Vengeful Whisper, right? It's like the weapon that I want to use the most that I never get to or never do because there's something else always taking priority. I kind of feel the same way about this Neeb's Lance. Like it's theoretically a great weapon. It would be amongst the meta for rapid fire frame sniper rifles. It's just never picked. At least not by me anyway. I've used it like 3 times maybe. Like I'll carry it as if I'm always going to use it. Like there's always a potential that I might need to use this weapon. I'm going to carry it in every single dungeon that I do. Every single raid I'm going to carry it with me.
The only strand bow face with tears of joy.
Right. Okay, so what else? I got the Volta bracket too, the aggressive frame, but that's again like I never use it. Envious Assassin, explosive payload, theoretically pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna bring over the Vallettas because this is what I've actually been farming for. Pretty much the only thing that has been elusive to me that I've desperately wanted. Even though I'm not like big on sniper rifles, this would be the sniper rifle that I've farmed for. Probably more than any other sniper rifle in the game, to be honest, because every other one was craftable. So let me bring them all over because I know that I'm going to be able to actually delete some stuff here. So this is actually going to be a productive ending to the stream. So, the last Puppeteer stream, I think I titled it Solo Puppeteer and Valletta F God Roll, right? Because I had the tonic popped. What's the tonic called again? World Energy Weapons, right? As long as you have this tonic popped, you're gonna get more Valletta Fs, right? I mean, it's not a guarantee. You can get any world drops, but overall, you're gonna get more Vallettas. So I've been popping that all season. We've had Revenant since what, October, and I've never gotten the Withering Gaze roll that I wanted until the last stream, when I also actually finished the solo on the dungeon, or the solo on Puppeteer, I should say. So that was kind of nice. It was like I got rewarded for not even doing the solo yet, via that weapon. So I'm keeping Deconstruct Withering Gaze because I think Deconstruct is going to go a long ways for the magazine for sustained damage, and there's always that niche situation where you get the vehicle or construct that you can proc that 40% buff on. It's 40% damage. It's huge. It's very situational. But just looking at Deconstruct from the perspective of automatically reloading the mag while you do damage, it's essentially Reconstruction, right? But Reconstruction was nerfed, so like, why? I never see anybody really talking about Deconstruct in that way, which is kind of surprising, especially like with all the nerfs to auto loading and Reconstruction. So that's why I've kept a lot of these Deconstruct rolls. Deconstruct Vorpal. I mean, it's essentially like having fourth times in Vorpal. You're just not getting the free magazine, but you're also potentially getting a 40% damage buff that you can multiply with Vorpal. Whereas fourth time is literally just giving you ammo and extending the duration of your magazine before you have to reload. Right, so I've kept all of these so far. Well, I can automatically get rid of that, just straight up, because Vorpal is always going to be better than Focus Fury. I don't even care if it's 15% damage versus 20. What's Vorpal on? Vorpal on specials is 15, isn't it? And then it's 20 on primaries and 10 on heavies. So I mean, technically I did potentially delete a little bit more damage with Focus Fury, but the fact that you have to spend half the magazine just to proc Focus Fury, and then if you're off target, you miss a shot, then you lose it, and then you have to reproc it. I can't remember exactly how it works, but Vorpal just sounds way easier to me. And more guaranteed damage, which is always more damage in the end, typically, I think. Then Snapshot Withering Gaze, 0 point in having that. I was keeping all these other Withering Gazes because I just didn't have another one until now. So I could definitely get rid of that. I mean, Snapshot would be... No, there's no point. Just run Void Handling if you feel like you need to aim down sight faster. I don't play PvP, right? So it's not like Snapshot is something I'm necessarily going for. So Deconstruct Vorpal would get...
Deconstruct were very instructive. I was sleeping on.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I'm using the same... it's the same logic, basically, that I'm assessing in my head as I kind of talk through these weapons, too. It's those situational things that I like to sometimes keep things around for. Deconstruct Vorpal versus Focus Fury. Oh, so I had two of these. This is the second one that I delete with Deconstruct and Focus Fury. And then Firing Line. So Firing Line would be better if I was in a fire team. And that's it. But Withering Gaze and Vorpal, same damage buff. Difference is you have to aim down sight. How long do you have to aim down sight for? It sounds way more worth it than ever using Vorpal. So, well, I take that back, right? Because if I was in a fire team, well, that's the only time. If I'm in a fire team and somebody else is using a debuff on the boss, then I'm not doing extra damage, right? This is only a 15% damage perk, damage buff, Withering Gaze, that is. It's only a 15% damage buff if you're solo and you don't have another source of weaken, right? But if you're in a fire team and you or somebody else on the fire team is debuffing the boss, then Withering Gaze is doing absolutely nothing for you. right? It's no damage perk at all. So that's where deconstruct firing line would be better, right? Because you would be in a firing line, because that's the only situation other than, well, I guess other than having another way to debuff a boss, like using concussive reload on a grenade launcher, or throwing a undermining grenade or dominance grenade, uh, you know, various other ways to debuff a boss. So I guess technically I could have kept the Vorpal, but I don't even feel like I need the firing line either, because I'm never really using snipers. If I was using firing line, it would be in a raid, and if I was in a raid, I would be using a rapid fire, unless the boss was coded to take deconstruct as a damage buff. Then that would have been a 40% damage buff times 20. But anyways, I'm fine with that. Like, aggressives mainly serve the purpose of being utility snipers for me, so I'm good with the utility role, basically, even if it means, a little bit of damage loss in some weird situations. Then there's this piece of crap with the other Void sniper rifle. Actually, I've got 3 other Void sniper rifles, so I'll bring those over. Starting to lose my speech, actually, so it is a good thing that I'm going to be getting off here after these sniper rifles are done. Embraced identity, reconstruction high ground. Obviously, I haven't done anything with this. I did enhance it. I must have been a fool to enhance it. I must have been a fool to craft it, because that's the real expense, right? I mean, 35 enhancement cores or whatever just to craft a weapon, and then to not do anything with it is a waste. You could just leave it in your collections. It sits there in your patterns. Like, it sits there as an option at the Enclave anytime you want it, right? So there's no reason to keep this. It's an adaptive. Same thing with Sovereignty from Onslaught, Salvation. I mean, this is a pretty good roll. This would be good for, like, ad clear, maybe some nightfalls, maybe some weird situations. But Dragonfly with Withering Gaze sounds kind of fun to me. I just haven't used it, and I think the roll on it that I was farming for. What was I farming for on this thing? Probably, explosive payload and Withering Gaze, right? So if I get explosive payload, Withering Gaze, I'm probably going to keep it. But that's literally the only damage perk, like, for, automatic damage perk versus any enemy type without any preconditions attached to it. Explosive payload is the best and only damage perk in the left column, right? Dragonfly has just got that ad clear AoE damage type, but explosive payload would be good versus a boss with Withering Gaze. So compared to compared to Valletta, I mean, this roll on Valletta is only applicable as a double damage perk versus constructs and vehicles, whereas Sovereignty would be applicable on any boss type with explosive payload and Withering Gaze. So technically it's a better damage perk combination than what Valletta F can get. As far as Withering Gaze goes specifically, it's just the trade-off. The trade-off is you're talking adaptive versus aggressive. So you get better perk combination on Sovereignty, like more universally speaking anyways. You get a better perk combination for damage, but it's an adaptive, so it's a worse frame. It has a better origin trait. Well, actually, that's pretty arguable. I don't know if Dark Aether's really good on snipers. Whereas Hake is an additional 15% damage versus vehicles and constructs, right? So that's the other point that I totally forgot to bring up with Valletta. I did a video on deconstruct and Hake specifically, and that's 15% That's Vorpal for constructs and vehicles, and that's 40% for constructs and vehicles. So multiplicatively, it's probably like in the 60% damage range. And then Withering Gaze on top of that for another 15%. So you're probably doing like 85 to 90% extra damage potentially on very situational enemy types, right? So that's the cool thing about Valletta F. I guess that's the takeaway there. And then Sovereignty just doesn't really have a whole lot going for it, other than explosive payload, Withering Gaze. So there's no point in keeping this. Like, I'm not going to keep an ad clear sniper rifle, and I don't need Withering Gaze that bad because I have a good roll. Then Father's Sins, so triple tap, Focus Fury. I mean, that's the only rapid fire void sniper that I have. Yeah. So I mean, I got to keep it just because, like, if I'm doing a void damage rotation and precision damage type is involved, then that's the best option there for precision. I mean, it does more damage than all my other void snipers, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because it's just Valletta, right? And Valletta, like I said, is the one-off case, and most likely to be a dungeon or a raid boss, because Bungie uh, usually codes them differently so that you don't actually get to benefit from those cool perks like Rainiques. Like, I think they changed the way that Wardcliff Coil works with it. Yeah, they changed the coding on the boss essentially. So yeah, unfortunately, right now, like Hake and Deconstruct are kind of like regulated to Neomuna Cabal ships and turrets, and I mean, there's other vehicles and constructs like Taken, I guess Taken Blights and whatever. Brigs are a big one, obviously. No pun intended there, but I mean, you get the Brig bosses in Vesper's Host. You get Brig bosses in 0 Hour. So Deconstruct's pretty useful there. You get Brigs and GMs, right? I mean, walkers, stuff like that. But that's pretty much it that I can think of. Anyways, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for sniper rifles. So I might clean the rest of this off stream unless any of you like really want me. I mean, you can let me know in like the next 5 minutes as I pack this up. But if you want to see me stream, like this vault cleaning stream again, where it's more like God roll discussion, then I will stream it again probably tomorrow. And since we have like what 10 days left for the season, there I want to make sure I have like the last week available to just focus on soloing Puppeteer or Vesper's Host entirely. Just focus on that solo to.
Deconstruct machine gun to break hive crystals in Tomb of Elders.
Oh, there you go. See, yeah, maybe I should hop into Tomb of Elders more. Like, if there's actually a use for Deconstruct there, I would probably go play it, because I really haven't been super interested in Tomb of Elders.
Come down for more stuffs like this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys talking with me and chatting with each other as well. Well, yeah, in that case, I'll probably get through the rest of it on stream, maybe tomorrow, whatever. It'd probably be similar hours. But yeah, I've got shotguns, grenade launchers, trace rifles, glaives, machine guns, swords, grenade launchers, heavy, of course, rocket launchers, linear fusions. I've got all those weapons to go through. So I could potentially do that at a faster pace in one stream, or it would probably realistically take like 2 streams to do. Although the first stream I also got rid of like all my dupes for exotic class items and ergosumes, right? So I went through that. Like, I'm not going to go through the armor on stream. Like, that's just that's too boring. There's nothing to talk about there. I could probably talk about armor for like 5-10 minutes, and that would be good enough. But I don't think there's much to see there. But the weapons are always interesting. So yeah, yeah, when I hop on again, it'll be approximately the same hours, and I'll be going straight into shotguns and grenade launchers. So it's getting more interesting than primaries, basically. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, so that's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for talking it out with me in chat, and I'll see you in the next one.